back in time, I tell myself that everything will end up alright. Just push yourself, test yourself, figure out what you like, and find your limits, don't be rigid, always work towards a prime. Surround yourself with open minds, people can change your life. A few friends with intent can help you feel alive. Find a passion, take some action, and with a little time, just be patient, make a statement, try to enjoy your life. They'll try to kick you while you're down, they wanna rise up while you drown. They wanna fill your head with doubt, they're silently scared that you'll figure it out. I'll make it look like I'm losing, won't bother hiding my bruises. And when they finally think you're wounded, then it's your chance to be ruthless. Make some progress, I can see that they compare. I think everyone's against me, maybe something in the air. Am I paranoid? I swear a void is forming and they're scared. I walk a straight path, not many can say that. I like to play fast, cross me and there's payback. You better pray that I don't see your face at any place that I go. I know you hate that. I've been doing fine, I'm not wasting any more time. I live for the fight and the climb, and I think that the pain that's deep inside is what defines. So I won't give up, I'm gonna make it to the top. I don't care what's in my way, I swear I'm never gonna stop. I could fall flat on my face and I swear I will get back up, cause I don't deserve a thing and the road ahead is tough. They'll try to kick you while you're down, they wanna rise up while you drown. They wanna fill your head with doubt, they're silently scared that you'll figure it out. I'll make it look like I'm losing, won't bother hiding my bruises. And when they finally think you're wounded, then it's your chance to be ruthless.
Hey, Durrani here. Oh, not Durrani. EDC Squirrel. Well, Durrani is my video game name. Good grief. This is how it's been today. It's been really busy. EDC Squirrel here. How's everybody doing today? Oh, there's my speaking chair. Yay. EDC Squirrel here. How's everybody doing today? Hope everybody's having a good one. Hope everybody had a great 4th of July. I know I did. I got fatter on burgers and potatoes and food. That's pretty much how it goes. Oh, that's every day. Who am I kidding? Anyway, where were we? Hey, Morgan. Hey, Kyle. Hey, Waylon. Glad you guys could make it. Anybody else that's watching as well, welcome to the channel. Got another unboxing today. More Whatnot auctions. However, I don't have as many boxes and packages as I've had on previous lives because I've had to tone it down, partially due to the fact that I got scammed a while ago. Well, that's another story. And why is everything crooked? Stop it. Close enough. So these have been sort of just trickling in. I don't know what next week is going to look like, but yeah, see, make a new opening and no confusion. I don't have time to make an opening. You want to make me an opening? Make me an opening. It takes time. I don't just snap these up. But I was saying next week, I don't know how that's going to be because I don't expect too many packages. Again, I've had to sort of trickle down my purchasing and the auctions on Whatnot. So I'm just going to see roughly between the middle of the week and see how we are. Regardless, I might still do a live stream anyway. We might go over more knife stuff, maybe more of my collection, because one of the things I plan on doing today is going over at least part of my collection and going over how I maintain and what happens when I get a brand new knife and what I do off stream. I haven't really showed too much, and I'll be filling up the time today with that, and maybe we'll do some more random stuff next week or just talk about knives. Who knows? But anyway, let's get on with the unboxing. Excuse me for all the coughing. And if you've been at my one auction that I did in order to recoup some funds, I really appreciate it. Thank you guys so much for your support in that. And I really appreciate you guys coming by, even just hanging out if you didn't buy anything. I don't know if I'm going to hold another one. Those things are a pain in the butt. It costs me a lot to run an auction. But we'll see in the future. If you are on Whatnot and you want to see what hasn't sold from my auction, I do have items on my auction that are in the Buy It Now bin. So you can go there, buy it now, without having to go through the rigmarole of an auction. If you want to make me an offer on some items that are on there, you can do that as well. All you have to do is look for my profile on Whatnot. It's EDC Squirrel, and then you can see what I have up for sale. But anyway, okay, so here we go. First package. This one is coming from Voice of One. And like before, we're going to start off with the packages, and we'll move on to the boxes. Voice of One, I think he might do radio. That could be why he's called the Voice of One. I don't recall. But I think this is my first purchase from him. Seemed like a really nice guy. Does a lot of business. Had some neat stuff. This one, I know what this one was. Okay, I know what this one. I know exactly what this was. This is a Frost Cutlery Delta Ranger. Now this I got for one specific reason. It was super inexpensive. Normally I don't like serrated knives, but I got this to get into a buyer's giveaway, which I unfortunately did not win. But anytime I try to get into a buyer's giveaway, which is something you have to buy something, anything, during the auction in order to get into the buyer's giveaway. I always try to get something that will at least be useful, or something super cheap like a dollar sticker. In this case, it was a Frost Cutlery. Now, I've got a few Frost Cutlery knives, but they're generally traditional knives. I haven't gotten a modern knife from them before. And like I said, I normally don't like serrated knives, but I was trying to get into the giveaway, so there we go. I don't even know what this is. What we got here? We've got what I'm assuming is going to be, I don't know what kind of material. I'm guessing FRN, which would probably be fiber reinforced nylon. Seems to be like the common, like, injection molded type plastic scales. And this does appear to be a liner lock, a single thumb stud for deployment, and ooh, that's got some resistance to it. Probably, okay, hold on. Okay, I didn't click that open right away. I was able to close it. Let's see there. Okay, that looks a little better. Okay, that's locked in there. Probably not ball bearings. In fact, hold on, I'm trying to look closely into it. It appears to be, I don't know what they call them, like bushings, washers, whatever. So no ball bearings from the appearances of it, which explains why I can feel a little bit of resistance. We got a thin liner lock here, and we got a Frost Cutlery etching on one side of the blade, China on the other, if that's focusing okay. And we've got a partially serrated edge and appears to be a drop point. on that one. We got a pocket clip. Not sure if that's reversible because they placed the pocket clip in a weird way. This is right on the pivot. And I'm going to say it's not reversible because I'm pretty sure that if you wanted to change that, you'd have to remove the whole pivot assembly. And I don't think that's something you'd really want to do. So I'm just going to go with non-reversible point down pocket clip. Pretty basic. I don't expect this to be something that would have been like very expensive, which is fine because I didn't pay, admittedly, a lot at all for this. In fact, I pretty much got this for a song and dance. But interesting knife nonetheless. It's always interesting to see what manufacturers come out with. Like, for example, again, Frost Cutlery, I'm familiar with their traditional knives, and they do a real good job with their traditional knives. And it's interesting to see how they do with making more modern knives. And this seems to be a pretty like basic modern knife take for Frost Cutlery. You got a liner back here, a partial liner anyway. And that's pretty much about it. I don't even know what kind of steel this is made out of. I am guessing it's probably like 440 stainless steel. That's my guess. In fact, let's take a quick look. I'm going to look this up because I'm like right by my computer. Why the hell not? Frost Cutlery Delta Ranger. Nah. Delta Ranger pocket knife. Okay, so just judging from Amazon, this is also interesting. Just judging from Amazon, Amazon has these for $14.95, and it looks like it normally would come with like a small nylon sheath. And I'm not seeing any other information on it, just other than stainless steel, which is a very general. I mean, stainless steel could be anything. Usually, when I see something that just says stainless steel, more than likely it's like 420, 440 stainless steel, along those lines. But I don't appear to be getting a whole lot of information other than that. I'm checking to see if there's any other information on this. $6 for a brand new one on eBay. A 3.5-inch blade length. I just realized I don't have... Where the heck is my... Well, I've got this. I like my yellow one better. It says 3.5-inch blade. Plastic handle material. Okay, so plastic. Don't know if that's even FRN. That's pretty much about it. That's all I know on this one. But like I said, I got it super cheap to get into a giveaway. I really can't be that disappointed because I know I didn't pay. I don't think I even paid $6 for this thing. I think I only paid like a couple bucks. I can't recall. I can't remember. I just remember why I got it. So that's the first one from Voice of One. Put that in the box there. And we're going to go on to... We have... Let me put this down on the floor. This one is from Leviticus. We've had a few from Leviticus before, and I've not been disappointed with the ones that I've gotten from him. There's something in here I'm not sure I want to cut, so I'm going to have to be very careful. I might have to change this blade. So otherwise, how was your 4th? Hope everybody had a fun one. For those that celebrate the 4th of July, anyway. Surprisingly, wasn't as loud as I remember in previous years. Usually there's so many fireworks going off. But this year was oddly quieter, which I guess I can't complain too much. Okay, that's a invoice. Can't complain too much, to be quite honest. All right, here we got a queen. This is going to be a traditional knife. I can't remember what this was. This is a queen pocket knife. Really good knives. I put them along the lines. Oh, ho, ho. It's a doctor's. It is a doctor's knife. Don't know much about this one. I do know this is supposed to be jig bone. So a nice brown jig bone. And it's a doctor's knife because I can tell generally because of the shape. And it looks like a single blade one. I love doctor's knives. You've got the queen etching on the blade there. And we have what looks like to be their particular part number. China made over there. Yeah, this is not a USA made queen. It's one of their budget queens. There's the badge or the shield. But I have a thing for doctor's knives, and it's hard to see a pretty one like this and not want it. They're just, in my opinion, with the traditional knives, these, along with the two-bladed trappers, I'm finding those are like, when it comes to utility, they've quickly become my favorites. It looks like you got steel bolsters on this. Just trying to shine it up a little bit. Get that to gleam a little. You got a nice half stop on this one. I'm really liking the bone. Very pretty. Good snap. But yeah, I like the utility of these. They're small and thin, making it really easy to carry. And a very decent, it looks like, I don't know if they'd call this a spear point, a drop point, either or. I like that type of profile for like, just basic cutting work, like overall. And a very simple design. I'm really liking queen. That's pretty. I love the bone on this. We'll clean that up later and I'll show you guys what I do. This will be a good example of what I do with a new knife, a new traditional, whenever I get them. And we'll put that down here for now. We'll put that back in the box. And we'll move on to the next unboxing. How did that fit in there? That's not it. That's it. Okay, that was from Leviticus. Put that off to the side. And what do we got here? We've got, this one was from Bear Fork Trading Post, which I've never bought. I don't think I've bought from before. Bear Fork Trading Post. I know so many knife sellers now on Whatnot. And I'll be honest, one of my favorite ones now, to be completely honest, is Appalachia freeze-dried knives, mainly because they include candy. I don't have one from them this unboxing. I don't think I do. No, I don't think I do. I don't have one from them this unboxing, but I know I have a package coming from them for next week. And I ordered another ice cream sandwich and I think a couple knives as well. And I ordered an ice cream sandwich, a freeze-dried ice cream sandwich, and some freeze-dried candy. So I am eager to try it. I think it was freeze-dried Airheads. And basically, if you liked Airheads, that means they puff up when you freeze-dry them, and they end up being crunchy, as opposed to like chewy, if you remember what an Airhead is like. Okay, what do we got here? Ooh, this one comes in a can. What are you? Bladio or Bladio? Blade? I'm pretty sure that's French. And this one wasn't even open, although the cover looks a little, or the cap looks a little weird. Let's open that up. Okay. We have, I'm assuming, a French-made blade, just by the name. BLADE with a little accent mark on it. Maybe an O. Open up. In a little canister thing. Don't see too many of these. Bigger than I thought. Okay. Why don't I remember this one? I might have done this to get into another giveaway. I'm not sure, but looks like we have an integral type. Well, it's not a modern. We got a nail neck. Oh, I remember this now. Okay. So this is a lockback, the Inox. We have what feels to be like almost like a rubbery handle. You have this exact one, Waylon. This is neat. It's got steel liners inside, so there is rigidity to this, but I can't feel the scales on this flex, and it is an integral one, meaning like the scale is basically, well, I believe it's one piece, and it's a lockback, but instead of the locking mechanism being exposed to unlock the knife, it's under this flexible like rubber grip. So it's locked now, and it looks like a spear point blade. Locked now, and then if I press down, you can see me squeeze down on that. That unlocks the blade, and then it snaps shut. Pretty good snap on that one. And pretty neat. I like the grippiness on this. And I don't have too many French blades, to be quite honest. I think the only other French blade I have is the Opinel, or Opinel. I'd almost consider this like a more modern Opinel, I guess. We have what appears to be a flat ground blade. I don't know what kind of steel this is. I don't know if it says. Oh, it's 420. I'm thinking. Well, it's a Acer Inox 420. Yep, 420 stainless steel, soft touch handle, back lock system. Okay, and that's what's on the. That's what they have on the little paper inside. They come in different colors, as you can see here. I obviously have the red. Nice little rainbow of colors. Very inexpensive. Yeah, I don't remember paying a whole lot for this either. I don't see why this wouldn't be decent. I mean, it's 420 steel. The steel itself, it's, however you feel about the steel. I mean, it's still going to do what it needs to do. It's a knife. It does feel pretty damn sharp out of the box. I'm not feeling any burrs or anything, so they did a pretty good job sharpening this one. Satin blade, so not a particularly shiny blade. This is something that was obviously made to do work and wasn't exactly made with, like, they weren't trying to win like prettiness awards, I guess, which is fine. In fact, it's nice to have these knives where they're just meant to do work. That's what they were built to do, and no frills, no fuss. It cuts, and this is pretty much what this is made for, with a nice, real grippy handle, single blade, flat ground. Up here, I'm trying to see if it's, that's definitely flat ground. I'm trying to see how they sharpened it, and it's just like any other blade. You've got, I don't know how I'm pronouncing it, blade, blade. I don't know. I'm not French. On one side, Inox on the other, and I'm really liking the grip. It actually feels really good. Yeah, they're only like a few bucks. Exactly, like, very cheap, like $250. Oh yeah, okay, $250 at Chicago Knife Works. That doesn't surprise me at all. That's pretty neat. I like how they have that enclosed. That actually, how big is that blade? Did I see a measurement on this thing? They didn't really say. This is going to be... I'm just wondering if it's something that I'll be able to carry without an issue. And we're looking at 3 inches. So, yeah, I can easily carry this. This will be a good one to carry and just do grunt work with. I like that. Was there a finger choil on it? No, just straight into the blade. Okay. Yeah, I like the fact that it's simple, just made to work. I'll probably carry this around and use that for like your just plain whatever I need to do or need it to do type work. How the hell does this go in? Because how did that work? Oh, there's like a slot in the middle of this thing. Why? Okay. And then I guess this goes that way. And then, oh, I see. It holds it front and center. So it's not leaning or shaking around in there. Okay, cool. Interesting packaging. All right. We got that one. We've got one more somewhat soft package. It's another box inside of a package. Youth Rev. We've had knives from Youth Rev before. Youth Rev 50. Let's see what he's got for me, or what I got from him. Okay. Another box in a bag. Oh, you know, maybe I should have done that. I had everything boxed up. I when I was shipping out my auction wins, when I was shipping them out, I had used the wrong boxes. And priority mail boxes can only be used for priority mail, which is not how the majority of the boxes were going out or labeled. So I ended up having to rebox everything. Actually, what he did, which was box it in a priority mailbox and then cover it in another like mailing bag, that worked. I'll have to remember that if there's a next time. I should have just done that. Good grief. Okay, so let's open this box. Like I said, it was the first time I ever ran an auction. Lessons learned. A lot of lessons learned. And now, not that I plan on running another auction, but if I ever do, hopefully I'll remember these lessons and I'll know a heck of a lot better. I'm reminding you of Kool-Aid. Well, that does kind of remind me of Kool-Aid. All right, we got a invoice there. Put that away. And Rough Rider Titanium. I'm excited. Okay, quite obviously a Rough Rider. Looks like this came out for part of maybe a 20-year celebration type thing. I don't know. Rough Rider 20 years. I know I've got Rough Rider knives that celebrate 30 years. So I don't know if they still make this. I'll have to look. But this is a Rough Rider titanium coated steel. We've got a sticker, and I can't remember what kind this might be. Oh, the whole thing just came out. Let go. Oh, this is big. We've got, it appears to be black and bone from the looks of it. It's not a micarta. And I can see bone usually has these little, I'm going to call them imperfections, but they're really not. You've got little, I guess I'll call them imperfections. I don't know how to explain it. In the bone, just naturally occurring stuff. And it does appear to be bone, like black and bone. We have a 20-year Rough Rider shield on there. Let me center this up. 20-year Rough Rider shield. Looks like nickel bolsters. And this is a trapper, a relatively large trapper. I don't know if this is a full size or this is just like a large. We've got a California clip blade on this one, and a spade blade. Oh no, this is not a trapper. Never mind, I was looking at it wrong. This, I think, is a moose. I get confused. It's either a muskrat or a moose. I think the muskrats have the same blade on either sides, and I think the mooses? I think the moose have two different blades. I always get this confused. Every time I open one of these up, I can never remember if it's moose or muskrat. It's one of them. Anyway, really beautiful scales. The blades themselves are titanium coated, which I presume would make it very resistant, or much more resistant to corrosion than normal. Oh, and that shines up really nice. Holy cow. That's almost like they're blackened, but it's almost like it's a moose. Okay, that's what I thought. I thought the moose ones had different blades. So you have a California clip blade and a spade blade, which is what I'm currently working on shining up. But that is pretty. 440 stainless steel coated in titanium. And the scales along with those blades, these blades are gorgeous. I have a couple more, excuse me, I have a couple more Rough Riders that have titanium coated blades. They're part of the Tuxedo series, and they're a much deeper, I think they're closer to a matte black finish on the blades, but I love the shine on this. I don't know, it's with the naked eye, it's very, very glassy. It still looks pretty glassy on camera. Trying to give it a good shine to really bring it out. And we'll talk about these cloths that I'm using too. These are friggin' excellent cloths. They're called sunshine cloths. You've got one major, I forgot what they call this space, trench or whatever, where the blades rest in. It's not divided up. There's no divider in there. Like I said, nickel bolsters for the appearances of it. I can't get over how shiny these blades are, though. The titanium looks fantastic. And I keep wiping it and shining it up, and I'm not helping it in any way, because every time I move it or touch it with a finger, I'm just fingerprinting the heck out of it. But that's absolutely beautiful. You got nice snap to the blades, especially with that California clip point. Absolutely gorgeous knife. I can't remember how much I got this one for. Where's my packing slip? I picked this one. Oh, wow. I think I did pretty good on this one. I'd like to say I got this for $12. I'd like to say I did pretty good on this. For $12. That's pretty sweet. And just I'm checking to see if there's any other like markings on it in terms of like blemishes or anything, because the titanium I know is supposed to make it pretty resistant. And I'm not really seeing anything. A slight blemish on the back, but I don't know if that's some gunk that could easily wipe off. Appears to be coming off. Just needs a little bit more work, but really pretty Rough Rider. I like it. That's cool. That's definitely staying in the collection. Let me get this out of here. We're going to go ahead and put that back in here for now. It just fits in that way. There we go. That was a good find. That's awesome. Not a huge knife guy, but that blade does look it's very pretty. Okay, so now we're off the package, I guess you can call them soft packages. That's the way I call them. And we're on to the boxes. This one actually was supposed to be done last week, but for some odd reason it got delayed, and I just got it recently. And this one's from Draco. And this is, I think this is my first purchase from this guy on Whatnot. And seemed like a really nice guy. They all seem really nice. I've got only one knife from him. This one, oh, I've been waiting for this one. This one is, oh, well, first of all, Cash Express. Thank you. Upgraded to priority mail, Drake. Appreciate it. Too bad the priority mail didn't seem to really help because it's not his fault. But I don't know what ended up happening, but the postal service like brought it over. How did it go? It came to my local post office and then for some odd reason got redirected to an entirely different state. And I think made it all the way to like Arizona or something. So it made it here and then they shipped it away. And then finally made it back. So that was kind of frustrating. But a nice little thank you note. This is called the Working Man with Pocket Clip. It's a Rough Rider, and it's one of the few Rough Riders they make that come with a pocket clip for carry. And I believe it might be a liner lock as well. I don't know. I think it might be a liner lock as well. There's the pocket clip, and that is also reversible. So you can move it from one side to the other. I don't know if I'm going to move it. It's kind of in a weird spot because it's in front of where I would normally utilize. It's got like a thumb plate, a thumb stud to open. And normally I like to have the blade towards the back seam of my pocket. So in other words, it's kind of in the right area, but it's also in an odd area to use this thumb stud, but we'll see. Okay, it's not a fast flicking knife. I could have sliced off a bit of thumb. And that's because it works off, I don't know, maybe, are those washers in there? Let's find out. I don't know what kind of screws those are. They look like they might be T6s. Let's try this one. And I wonder if that'll loosen up a little bit if I loosen up the pocket clip. Because I don't see... Okay, they are T6s, but either my tool is stripping or the screw is stripping. It's a very solid liner lock, though. I don't get the snap, but that is pretty centered in there. Let's oil this up. I want to see if I can get that moving a little better. This is another thing that I normally do with a new knife is I'll add some pivot oil. And part of that is to get things moving nice and smooth and also to clean it up a little bit. And then I'll work that blade a little bit. It's really well polished, though. That's a really nicely polished blade. And we'll work that oil in. I'm not sure if there's a way to, like, adjust the tension on this guy. Because from the looks of it, it appears the pocket clip, those screws are just going to affect the pocket clip. I don't think they're going to affect the pivot any. And that's pretty tight in there. It doesn't feel like those are bearings. they feel like washers or bushings, which is why there's quite a bit of friction. And a real thin blade, probably 440 stainless steel. Yep. 440 stainless steel etched on the blade. A really high polish than usual for a Rough Rider. They polish them pretty well, but they've got this one almost to a mirror, which is actually pretty nice. I'll probably work on this a little more. It looks like they could be bearings, but it doesn't feel like it's moving on bearings because there's a lot of friction on that one. This will take some playing around with. I've never had one of these workman knives, so it's still pretty interesting. But yeah, that takes a bit of friction to come out. But still really cool. I believe it's a bone handle, a green bone handle, and like copperish bolsters on it. Still pretty nice. I can't complain. But I'll see if I can't get that maybe moving a little freer later on. So, like I said, it looks like they might be, I don't know, it's hard to tell. From initial looks, it looks like it could be ball bearings. It obviously doesn't feel like ball bearings, though. Could be just really, really tight in there. But I don't know if there's a way to really adjust these. Where'd my other cloth go? There you are. Otherwise, still pretty cool. I like the look. And oh, how long was this blade? Is this something that I can carry with me? I think it's a little on the long side. Yeah, this is going to be like 3 3/8 in length, which is a little longer than I could technically carry without issue. But still a neat piece for the collection. Very pretty green. I have so many modern knives that are green, but very few traditional knives that are green. And I'm finding out that the green ones tend to be really popular, especially the case green apple ones. Those are very pretty. Yeah, it definitely doesn't feel like bearings. I didn't think they were. They look like they could have been just from the initial, because the bearings have this like look to them. But it's so tight in there, it's hard to tell. And just by the feel, I didn't think they were. But anyway, still really cool knife. And I'm glad it finally got here. I don't know why. It took an extra trip. And that's the funny thing is he said he upgraded to priority, that little note. Upgraded to priority, but didn't really do too much for him. But that's not his fault. That's not his fault. That's the post office. So there's nothing against him. Okay, so that was from Draco. We've got another small box. This one's from Kevin 67 MSU. We've had boxes from him before, and always found some neat stuff in his auctions. Okay, let's get that opened up. I'm trying, well, first of all, not to kill myself with this thing. I'm gonna have to replace the blade on this. I've been using it so much, this thing's getting dull. This is one of the reasons why I like this. Don't have to worry about sharpening it. Just have to put a new blade on it. Okay, this is really well taped up. Let's get that cut. Let's get this cut. Let's not cut myself. I've been lucky so far. Knock on whatever the hell this is. Oh, this one, another rough. Oh, we got more stuff in here. What is this? We got a few. Oh, we got a few things in here. Okay, that's an invoice. Put that away. Again, this is from Kevin 67 MSU. We have obviously a Rough Rider. This is a Midnight Ice, another series that I'm really, really enjoying. And then we got a couple smaller things we'll look at as soon as we're done looking at this knife. The Midnight Ice is, oh, you're going to like this one, Morgan. This one is a hawkbill. Already can tell with that massive blade. I'm really liking the Midnight Ice because it's got that, what do you call that? Like chipped or flaked carbon fiber in resin, I believe, which gives it a nice kind of somewhat sparkly appearance. You get the Rough Rider shield there. Nickel steel bolsters. You got red, appears to be red liners underneath the scales. I got fuzz sticking to my nails. And obviously a 440 stainless steel hawkbill blade. Nice half stop on this one. But the thing I like most about these is that cool carbon fiber look to the scales on this knife. I've taken a real good liking to these scales. I have a few knives with similar scales. I've got at least one, maybe two more Midnight Ice, or even I think they had a predecessor before this Midnight Ice came out under a different name, but very similar scales. With I think it's shredded carbon fiber. That might be it. With a shredded carbon fiber. Again, nice big hawkbill blade. I always liked these. Don't I already have one of these? Maybe. Possibly. I have a few hawkbills. It's possible the other one I have is also, the other Midnight Ice could also be a hawkbill. But you know what that means? If I have two of them, that means one can sit pretty in my collection. And then this one, I can do whatever to and not feel bad about it. Either way, I don't believe I got this one for a whole lot. Hold on, let me look at my packing slip and see if I paid too much for this guy. I have no idea because they didn't really label these. If I'm right, quantity one. I paid either $7 for this or maybe, no, I don't know. Could have been $7, could have been $14, because there's a couple other items on here, and the other items could have very well been just as much as well, even though the other two items aren't knives, and I'll show you those in a little bit. But regardless of whether I already have one of these or not, I don't believe I do. I could have sworn the Midnight Ice I have is a different one. If not, like I said, no skin off my back. Still happy to have it because it's an awesome knife. And if I have two of them, even better. One can stay safe in my collection, and the other one, this one, if this is indeed a second one, I can use for whatever the hell I want to use it for. We've got a 3-inch hawkbill, 440 stainless steel, just like pretty much all their other knives. They've got a few exceptions, but generally all 440 stainless. But pretty nice. I love the handles. I really love these handles, and I know you like these, Morgan. I know you like the hawkbills. But focus. I love the shredded carbon on these. And the little red accents. It might be a little hard to pick up on the camera, but that red inner liner makes a nice accent to it. Satin, 440 stainless steel. Pretty cool. Nice half stop and nice click to that. We'll put that back in, and then I'll have to check my collection. Hold on. You know what? Oh, that was my knee. Let me take a look. One of my coworkers was super cool about making me, I might have mentioned this before, a spreadsheet. And I've been slowly adding to the spreadsheet as I acquire new knives. And let me see here. All I have to do, let me scroll down on my spreadsheet and see if I've got another one of these. I've got to get through all my modern knives first. So this could take a while. I have a copper bolster hawkbill that looks kind of similar. However, it's coppery. I do know I have a Midnight Ice. Oh, Black Ice was the one that they came out before the Midnight Ice. They were called Black Ice. And they had the similar shredded carbon fiber that you see on these, but they have a different badge. They had like this crescent moon badge on them. And that the Black Ice one that I have was a trapper. I might actually have another Black Ice one. I have a bluegill hawkbill. That was a half hawk. Where's my Midnight Ice? Oh, yep. This is my second Midnight Ice. You're correct. So let me change this. And now I have two. Honestly, no complaints. Okay, so that is my second Midnight Ice. No, you can't have it. You can't have it. If I get a third one by accident, maybe. So my second hawkbill from them. Again, no complaints. I love it. Okay, so that was for... Oh, no, I forgot. We still got two things from them. Now, the other two items that were in that box are not exactly knives, but not why... I haven't been really trying to collect a lot of these. And then I ended up collecting a few of these. I have a red one, and I have a green one. I know I might have shown on another unboxing, and one of them was missing a stand. That's the stand. Now I have a blue one, and I was kind of hoping he had an extra stand he could throw in. I believe this is a white one. Yes, this is a white one. These are case marbles. Case making the case knives. We got a blue, like 1/2 inch, I guess, marble. These are pretty highly collectible. And on average, now these I got for a good price. I think because I got them kind of like as a duo. And like I said, that's why I have a hard time figuring out what cost more, whether I got the knife for like 14 or 7, or whether I got the marbles for 14 or $7. Because a lot of times these marbles generally go for about $20. So I don't think you can just go out and buy these normally. Because I think a lot of these are like distributor things. Now this one just says case on it, and they use the same type of font that they use for their knives, and the font changes depending on I guess you could say the years. As the years go by, the font changes on their knives. Now I don't know what years this font represents, but there's that one. We have this one here. This one's a white one, handcrafted pocket cutlery case XX select, and it has, I guess, a portrait of the original owners. But pretty cool. Like I never really set out to collect the marbles, but then I picked up a few. I forgot how I even picked up a few. I think I bought my first one simply to get into a buyer's giveaway. And then I got the second one because I saw one, like I said, I got a red one, and then I saw a green one. I just thought, well, why not pick up the green one to make it like a companion to the red one I have, kind of Christmassy colors. And then now I've got a blue one, and now I've got the white one. And like I said, a lot of times these marbles I see for like $20. on these auctions. And if I get, even if I got one of these at 14, massive steal. If I got them for the other two prices that were on that invoice, which was $7 and $4, even bigger steal. And again, I have no idea which was which because they didn't have it marked on the packing slip as to specifically which one was what. I'd have to go and dive into the auction video to really tell. But those prices could easily go for either the knife or either one of these marbles. So not sure how much I paid for them. I have an idea at least, but pretty cool little things. I couldn't remember if I asked him if he had another stand, because one of the marbles that I got previously, I think it was the green one, was missing a stand, and I have no idea how else I get these little metal stands. But I'm guessing that if I had asked him to look if he had another one, I'm guessing he didn't because there's not another one in here. So, oh well. At least I got stands with these guys, so can't really complain. Well, no, maybe it was the red one that didn't come with a stand. One of them didn't come with a stand. I need stands. Let's put this on this. And there we go. So neat little things. I've never really played marbles. Well, maybe once or twice when I was a kid. And never thought about like really collecting them, but still, neat little thing to add to my collection. Let's make sure there's nothing else in here. I don't believe there was, but nope, that's it. Some tissue and the marbles, those off to the side. We've got 3 more boxes. Let's go with this one. We've seen this name before. This is Luke Guy. This guy is the one where I've had some pretty big packages come from him. Also, this is the same auctioneer that my girlfriend, Feed Me Coffee, had won that really big giveaway with the tools, the video game, all that other stuff, and quite a few knives in it. This is the same guy that she won the giveaway from. And this one, you got our typical Luke Guy newspaper. Oh, I know what this is. This one, I was trying to get into a giveaway again. And excuse my sniffle. Oh, excuse me. I bought a sticker from him because I guess he got into making stickers, and this one is supposed to be Bigfoot in front of the American flag with an AR-15. And I just thought that's pretty cool. Oh, no problem, Waylon. Thanks for coming by, or welcome back, I should say. Oh, today's your birthday. Well, happy birthday, Waylon. I won't ask how young you are. I'll let people speculate. But this is pretty cool. He's been making stickers, and I had to pick one, enter into giveaway. I think I got this for like $1. But pretty neat. This is one of the reasons why I want to come up with stickers, because I don't know. I like stickers. Who doesn't like stickers? And we've got in here a tortoise shell. Now, I've been snapping up these tortoise shells because the rumor has it. Now, again, this is just a rumor. Every time I've asked, everybody's heard the same thing. It's a rumor, but Rough Rider supposedly will be stopping production of the tortoise shell series. So I've been kind of snapping them up whenever I see them, and they're probably the one series that I have the most of. And I'm not complaining about it because I like the series. So even if they weren't getting rid of this series, to be quite honest, I'd still be probably snapping them up again because they're probably one of my favorite ones. Alexa, shut up. I heard that. Okay. As a reminder, I don't know what that was. Probably for an auction, to be quite honest. I think my girlfriend likes to put reminders for auctions she likes to attend. But this one is a tortoiseshell lockback. And unlike that one French lockback, you can see the unlocking thing, depression over here. Just like every other Rough Rider, this is a 440 stainless steel blade, satin blade. I call these California clip points. I think that's what they call them, with that long clip to the blade, and sometimes a gentle like swoop, almost going back up. Coppery bolsters, and the favorite part of these knives is the imitation tortoise shell, because these always look absolutely beautiful to me. The way the colors in these tortoise shells, these imitation tortoise shells, I should say, kind of sort of like just float around in that resin. And there's the tortoise shell shield. I always thought these were absolutely beautiful. And even if I got doubles or triples and wasn't paying attention, I'd still be snapping these things up because I love them that much. They're just gorgeous knives. I do like this lockback. I'm really hoping I can grab another one of these lockbacks, because this is one I wouldn't mind carrying around with me on the regular and actually using. But if I only have one in my collection, I'll usually just keep it in my collection. So a lot of times I still will use them. Depends on the knife. But when it comes to these Rough Riders, like, they're not expensive. So even if I did use it, and it broke or got super dull or something, it wouldn't be like a loss or anything like that. It's just, to me, they're just so pretty. A knife, to me, doesn't have to have a very big price tag on it for me to want to keep it as a safe queen. It just has to look really pretty, and something that I wouldn't want to mar up with use. And that's why a lot of times if I have a knife like that, that to me just looks absolutely gorgeous or has some type of special thing to it where I don't want to mar it up, a lot of times I'll buy a second one on purpose. So that way I can use the second one if I really want to use the knife and keep the other one nice and pristine. But this is their tortoiseshell. Plenty of these in my collection, so I'm not going to linger on this too long. Nice snap on that one. Very pretty. You can't go wrong with these. Although, now I just keep fingerprinting them. All right, back in the box you go. Very pretty lock blade. We've got 2 more boxes. And this one, oh, sniffles. This one is from Blade Runner Outpost. This one, I have a feeling, is going to end up being a modern knife. Yeah, some of my exactly. Some of my most valuable knives aren't very expensive. They don't have to be. It's what it means to you. And whether you're willing, like, it's something that you don't mind getting marked up or not. Yeah. Oh my god, he taped this up really good. I have no idea where the seam is to this thing. How do boxes work? Okay, I think I got it. Sorry, always open these off screen because sometimes things don't work out the way I want them to. We got a lot of papier. There's nothing in this paper, is there? Before I go tossing this in the garbage. Nope. That's this paper. And we've got an invoice on the bottom. Oh, this is huge. Oh, I know what this is. And no, it's not a modern. I see Blade Runner Outpost, and most of what he sells are modern knives. Sometimes he will have some traditional knives that he'll auction off. And I think this is one of those cases where he happened to have an interesting traditional knife, and at a very insanely cheap price. I know I got a good price on these because I had to look these up after. I know I looked it up after I got them. Now what we have here under all this paper, hold on. We have in this interesting wooden box a number 38. Get off there. Now, he didn't know what these were when he got them, and they just looked interesting enough to me that I had to snag them, especially considering the fact that they were going for really, really cheap. And once I went ahead and did the order, I did some looking up and tried to find images and whatnot and match them up and see what I could find. And it turns out I was able to find what I think these are supposed to be. Now, this, again, it's like almost like a coaster type wooden case. It's wood, and there's a magnetic, it's not a latch, but there's a little magnet that keeps it shut. And there's the hinge. We open this up, and we have 3 knives in this collection. It opens up, okay, just a little over halfway. It doesn't go fully flat. And each of these knives, I think, are single-bladed. Yeah, they appear to be single-bladed. Let go. Let go. Okay, this one does not want to leave. Don't want to pry you out. All right. There's got to be another way to do this. Nope. Where's tweezers? That'll do it. Tweezers. There's a little. It's the case isn't perfect. I see there's a little chip. I'm not worried too much about that. My concern is the knives. The box itself is just a neat extra. But here we have 3 knives in this collection. And how much did I pay for this thing? I believe these are normally like $30 where I found them. I got these for like $15. And each one depicts a different species of animal. This one, in this case, this appears to be a trout. And it's a resin, I believe, on one side, and then a stainless steel scale on the other. And that one, like I said, appears to be a trout. This one appears to be mallard ducks. There we go. Hope I'm on the camera. They are not Benoit balls. What are you talking about? Are you talking about the marbles? You are lagging, Morgan. These appear to be like mallard ducks, I believe. And the last one, I'm putting these back in, and then I'll open up the last one so you guys can see what the blades are like, because they're all the same otherwise. The last one appears to be a depiction of, looks like elk. Yes, I recognize these are elk. Oh, the wooden case. Okay, no. These are single-bladed, and like I said, I don't think he knew what he had. Not that he let these go for way too low, but he wasn't sure of the maker or anything like this. And I believe these are made by United Cutlery, which is a name that a lot of people, I'm sure, would be familiar with. I think they make a lot of kitchen knives and stuff like that, but I've seen pocket knives and stuff from United Cutlery. I don't see them too often anymore, but I used to see them quite a lot back in the day. It's not like they've disappeared. I don't know. It's not a manufacturer that I really look for, I guess, and it's been kind of overshadowed, at least with the pocket knives. It's been kind of overshadowed by other manufacturers. But like I said, you've got a scene on one side, stainless steel on the other. These are made apparently in Taiwan. You can see the etching there. And vanadium stainless steel. I don't know if there's any particularly special property with vanadium stainless steel. But there you have it. These are drop point blades. These are also lockback knives. So they lock as soon as they're open. And I believe under 3 inches. Yes, this is about just over 2.5 inches in blade length. But a neat little collection, I thought. And like I said, I had to do some digging, and I found a few instances where they were called, or where it was stated they were United Cutlery. Oddly enough, no other marking on the blade to really signify that. And I'm not seeing anything else, either on the blade or on the scale to even say or confirm so. When I say that it's been said these are made by United Cutlery, those were coming from like eBay auctions that I came across that had similar knives. I say similar knives because they essentially were the same knife and the same wooden case, but the wildlife depictions were different. They have, like, I think the one set I saw had bass and maybe white-tailed deer and something else. I can't recall what. So I'm going to assume that these were made by United Cutlery, judging from those auctions. But pretty neat little find. A simple knife. The depictions look really cool. I especially love that they come in a little wooden display box. And just a neat little pickup, especially for so little cost. Let's close that up. Nice little snap to them. I don't think this is something that I would really intend to use. This is just more of a neat little collector's conversation piece, really. And I'll shine these up and whatever, and I'll probably then keep them out of the plastic and then just leave them back in their display and put them somewhere where they can be appreciated. Let me make sure I'm putting these away right, because this seems a little weird. Okay, so that just fit in. That just fit in there, because it didn't want to come out the last time. Now it doesn't want to go in. There we go. Okay, there we go. The ducks and the trout. Yeah, neat little box, I guess, to hide the fact that you bought more knives. It's just a really thick coaster. I don't know what you're talking about, honey. I didn't buy anything new. So there we go. That's the second to last box. Now I have to get my girlfriend here in order to open the last one. So let me go give her a holler. Honey, dearest, I need your assistance with this last box. Honey, dearest. I hear you snoring. Come here. Okay, so I just need her assistance with this last box. Oh, sniffles again. Ugh, okay.
God, what did you get?
What did I get? I know. So this one, I'm not going to say who this is from, because then she'll probably know. This one, I don't know what this is. There's a reason why I need her assistance. So let me open this box up. Let me get rid of the invoice. Let me hide the invoice.
What did you do?
For those that know, I've been hunting these certain things for like the longest time.
Okay. Maybe.
I have been hunting these things down for the longest time. And while I've been trying to get these through giveaways, it's been really difficult. It's been really, really difficult. And unfortunately, these aren't exactly the things I've been hunting down, but they're kind of like adjacent to what I've been hunting down. And she's gotten this fondness for something called a labubu, which are these little collectible monsters that you can dress up and whatnot and stuff. And they're like little plushies or keychain things. Now I didn't get what I was hoping to get. Yeah, they're little palm-sized guys. I didn't get what I was hoping to get, but I got something neat all the same. And these are for her. Now these aren't knives. I have the Monsters one-piece figurine in a blind box. And
Get to rip.
I have a lazy yoga monster also in a blind box. A blind box means that there's several different types that you can get when you buy these things. And they call them blind boxes because you don't know what you have until you open them. So in the case of the One Piece monsters, if you guys are if anybody is a fan of anime, One Piece is an anime. It's basically the monster figurine dressed up or cosplaying as a One Piece character. And when you buy these boxes, they have a 1 in 12 chance of getting any of these other characters. Okay, so any of these characters you see here, you have a 1 in 12 chance of getting when you open the box. And then you have a 1, in this case, oh my God. Okay, in this case, you have a 1 in 144 chance of getting a secret. Oh, this is what a Labubu looks like. This is what a Labubu normally looks like.
And it came clothed. We won it. I think it was a display item.
I won this in a giveaway, and it came with clothes because people make designer clothes for these things to dress them up. This one's just missing shoes. And if you're wondering how much these things go for, these go on average for $50 to $70, and I've seen them go for higher. And the clothing can go anywhere from 10 to, I've seen the clothing, like a full set of clothing, go for like $30. And I've seen shoes, like Nike shoes, go for like $30.
Yeah, you can get Nike one or Jordan ones, I think.
Yeah.
And the backpack, it's so quality made. It's just.
The backpack is, what kind of backpack is this?
I bought.
This is a Mickey Mouse, and what's that insignia? Gucci?
Gucci or Louis.
Yeah, Gucci, and this is, what's the insignia on the cap?
Chanel.
Chanel?
I mixed them in.
Okay, there you go. And then she got
And they have ears too.
Oh, they have like funny little ears. She's so happy with these things, but not what you pictured at all. She wants to win them
because I'm not spending $50 or $60 on one of these, much less to clothe it.
But I won her. I won a couple of them. I wanted her to open these up and see what we got. I'm gonna let you open them up. Come here.
Okay.
Because these are for you. I thought I'd do something special. She helped me out so much with the auction.
Okay, we'll do the One Piece.
Rippin'. Rippin'. And what they do.
Everybody do this on the. Sorry if I'm not
on auction. Usually what they do is they'll open the box and there's a card that tells you what it is.
I can see why these people have issues with these.
Yeah, these boxes don't open easy.
No, they don't.
Okay, what's the card? Usually what they'll do is they'll open it up and they'll show you the card.
We got a card. We got a coin.
Oh, you got a coin?
Yeah, and a.
Oh, that's a stand. That's a stand. Yeah.
Okay.
And inedible candy.
We got.
Oh, we got Frankie. We got Frankie. He's not a secret. But we got Frankie. I don't know what that is, but okay. I'm kind of familiar with One Piece.
And here's the ripping of it.
Okay, so let's see what that looks like. I don't know if you want to.
He's cute. Look at him.
And these, in this case, these are little figurines.
Oh, he's got things on his arms.
He's got little, to keep him from scratching his face. And then this stand. Let me open this stand for you.
Backwards. He's got little.
So that's Frankie.
EF-37 things on his arms, whatever those are, little knee pads.
And then he would stand on this, apparently. He's got little holes in his feet. Oop. And this does not sit.
Turn around, maybe.
Maybe turn around, yeah. It's a little better, but not much. It'll take some work for me to get this in there. I don't want to break anything. There we go. A little stand for him to stand up with. A little vinyl figurine. It's not a plushie, but still pretty neat. Oh, the arms move.
So EDC Squirrel has now gotten into the Labubu.
I have not. These are for you.
You
These are for you. I'm gonna put these back. Go ahead and open the other one. I'm gonna put these back in the box. I just want to get her something special.
All right, we're ripping because it's already been shipped.
It's not the ones you can dress up, but those things run expensive. These are a little less expensive. But if you get a secret one, I've seen
not getting any better.
Okay, the Labubu that she showed you, the fuzzy one, confident. I saw. Oh, confident. Okay.
Confident.
I saw a Labubu secret that was unboxed earlier today and sold. Now, like I said, those Labubu, the one that she had the clothes on, normally go for like $60 to $70. The secret one went for $580. $580 for the secret.
got a little butterfly. He's supposed to be doing yoga, but he's got a
Oh,
butterfly.
doing yoga?
Yeah.
Oh, he is soft, kind of. He's got like a soft like
fuzziness
thing
to him.
going, and he's also got a stand.
Well, of course he's got a stand.
He's got a stand. We'll open that up. We're not doing this to resell. This is just fun. But I got her 2 things I thought she'd enjoy. And there's a hole that goes in.
What's chat stand?
That's pretty cool. Like stuff like that. And we got 2 Labubus. There you go. The one piece and a lazy yoga Labubu. This one was the confident one.
And if you watched our stream on Feed Me Coffee, I did some of the modding and half the talking.
She did a lot of the.
Never introduced myself.
She did a lot of the sorting out when I was selling stuff for the auction. Every time you guys bought something, she was frantically writing numbers and names and sorting it out on the bed. And we had so much stuff on the bed.
We had so much painter's tape and squares that started out that way, and luckily we watched a couple of videos, so those helped.
So there you go. These are the Labubus. I might have more coming on the way.
I may have won.
Yeah.
I may have won a second Labubu. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Sometimes they classify them weird.
Yeah, we don't know if we got more. I've been on the hunt trying to get specific ones for her in giveaways. And like I said, this one, like these types, the secret one, $580 the secret one sold for. It's crazy.
Freaking insane.
Yeah, we're in the wrong business. They had
I'd love if there's a
they had a giant, there's a giant version. I think they called it Zamumu. And that one sold, I mean, it's like...
You know way more about this than I do.
Well, yeah, because I've been trying to hunt these down. They're like,
Jesus.
It's like 10 times the size of this thing, and it was all white, 10 times the size, had little wings. That thing sold online. And again, this was all today. This is all auctions that I saw today. That thing sold online for $540. People were fighting over these things.
Sell a case of these, 6-pack.
A case of these normally run like $300 to $400.
Yeah.
And one secret Labubu that was a 1 in 72 chance of getting sold for $580. You're switching from knives to Labubus.
That's what a lot of people on Whatnot have done. The big sneaker people.
Yeah, there's a lot of sneaker people.
Labubus now.
Yeah, a lot
of knife people is not a bad thing. Check out the wholesale prices. Let us know.
Yeah, a lot of people that are selling sneakers, they just switch to Labubus, or at least they're doing Labubu shows now instead of just the sneakers.
Yeah.
But here you go.
Thank you, baby.
Enjoy.
This is
Cradle. Careful. You got the boxes right. Okay. So that's it for the unboxings. And I know we were going to do a little bit more. Although we've been going for almost an hour and a half, so not bad. I'm going to have room. No, I don't have more boxes. We're going to go over other stuff.
Yeah, for now.
No, they're not going to have room.
They want some attention.
I need the room. Okay, so what we were going to do is I was going to show you actually a good deal of my collection, and then go over.
Thank you, hon.
You're welcome. And then go over. Love you too. I'm going to go over what I do when I get a new knife, and we'll do that one for whatever reason. I'll go over what I do when I get a new knife, and what I do to maintain my knives in my collection. So let me make some room here, and you guys will get to see how I store a lot of my knives. Although I am running out of storage space, and I have to get more. What was this to? Oh, my cleaning cloth. Okay, so let me bring some stuff out here real quick to the side. And, okay. Excuse me. Let's move that over. Now I need to make some space. So give me a moment, and then I'll show you guys what I do. Let's move these over to the bed. All these. Excuse me. All right. First of all, how I store most of my knives, and I'm going to be focusing a lot on the moderns, but the same happens. I do the same thing for the most part, with traditional knives. Oops, forgot about that one. I can go over there. The way I store the majority of my knives are in hard cases. Now, there are different manufacturers of hard cases. In my case, pun intended, I have cases made by Casematics. They're kind of on the pricier side. A lot of these hard cases tend to be pretty pricey. This is one of their bigger ones. This one, I'm trying to remember how much this ran. I'd like to say this ran roughly around $70 to $80 for the case, and I do have a smaller case. This one holds 56 knives, and it is a waterproof case. You got some seals on there, and excuse me, we got some non-edible candy that I like to keep in there to help keep things dry. Got a couple cloths, and some of them are kind of wrapped up in either they're either in little pouches that came with the knife, or I might have them wrapped up in little cloths like this here, because I might have oiled them a while ago, and sometimes the oil will I don't want the oil leaking down into the case. But I'm switching this off because this is actually my gun mat, and this mat will actually absorb oil if I spill any of it. But this is how I store the majority of my knives. Now, I've got 56 knives in this one. The other case is a little smaller and holds, if I recall, 40 knives. And yeah, like I said, if I oil a pivot, I'll usually wrap it up to keep the oil from dripping down into the case itself. And I'll usually keep the knife that way until I notice that it's pretty dry and doesn't appear to be leaking oil anymore. And that's how I have those stored. This one's still kind of wet, so I'm going to leave the little cloth in there with it. And then I try to sort of divide them up as best as I can when I store my knives. Like most all these up till this point. Yeah, up to this point, these are all Civivi knives. Now, not all my knives are in cases, because I do have some that are out. Usually because I have them on a rotation. Like I have a tray that I put some knives on, and then I'll just grab from the tray when I'm on my way out and throw it in my pocket, and then put it back on the tray when I'm home. But this is where I have a majority of my Civivis, my Kaiser knives. This is my drop. I love these drop bears. Probably my favorite crossbar lock knives are the drop bears from Kaiser. I've got other knives like this SRM, which I think you guys probably have seen me unbox. More Civivis, lots of Civivis. This one I think is a Best Techman Cicada's Wing. Yep. Really pretty cool knife. This one's a Mayoral, another one of my favorites. Titanium handle. And what's in the cloth? I can't remember what's in these pouches. This one is, this is the DEF CON I did an unboxing on one of my lives, with the pivot lock that's the button lock that's right on the pivot, and the weird top flipper, or I call it a mohawk flipper. It's one of the few that I can open like that. And really cool knife. But yeah, this one holds 56. The other one holds 40. I think they're just in a different orientation, but otherwise same maker, also by Casematics. And that's how I store the majority of my knives. As far as my current favorite, like my favorite knives out of everything that I own currently have to probably be, where are they? These two here. They're also some of the more pricier ones. These are Kershaw's, and these are called Bel Airs. Magna Cut. They generally run, I'd like to say, roughly around 150 each. This was the first Kershaw Bel Air that I got. Magna Cut steel, stonewashed blade. I can't remember what they call their crossbar lock. I'm just going to call it a crossbar lock. They have a different name for it, but that's essentially what it is. But these are probably my favorite knives. They're super quick. My favorite steel out of overall, the Magna Cut steel. The crossbar lock is smooth. It's not too stiff. And it's a great size. I have it in this color, which I can't remember the name of this color. A light beige. And these are USA made knives. And then I have it in this aluminum blue with a satin blade. These are probably my favorite knives in the collection. Not to say that I I dislike any of the other knives. They're all my favorite knives. The one thing I do when it comes to buying knives is I don't generally just blindly buy a knife. I try to get something I know I'm going to like. The only exceptions come when I'm trying to get something cheap for a giveaway, or if I want to investigate a brand new knife that that I'm not familiar with the manufacturer. And that's the only time I'll get anything that's even remotely, like, I guess you could say, questionable, is when I'm investigating like a new manufacturer. Civivi is probably the one manufacturer I own the most of. After that is probably Kaiser. I own quite a lot of Kaiser knives as well. But I own knives by Vosteed, Migueron, Best Tackman. Concept is another one that's quickly becoming a favorite. Remet is also becoming a favorite. The only problem with Concept and Remet is they only have a very small amount of budget-friendly knives. The majority of Remet and Concept tend to be premium knives, and therefore tend to be like couple $100, like generally around like 150 and up. So I don't have too many of those. I hope to pick up some eventually, but it might be a while. CJRB is another manufacturer that I have quite a few knives from. These are great because they are relatively inexpensive, but they've been so far impressively built. They have a steel that is their own proprietary make, which is AR-RPM 9. And they're also owned by Artisan Cutlery. And that might be another name that might be more, that people might be more familiar with. Artisan Cutlery tends to make slightly higher end knives, where CJRB is their premium or their budget line. Own quite a few Kershaw's, QSP. This is probably one of their higher end Concepts. This is like, I forgot how much. This thing's small, but I know it. They tend to run, I think, like maybe close to $80 on these. And it's the Little Main Street by Concept. A tiny knife. The thing's like 2-inch blade. Not easy to flick open because it's so small. And I don't have the biggest hands, and this is so small. That's another neat one. And this one contains the majority of my modern knife collection. Some of my modern knives have spilled out into the other case. This one's a Concept accipiter. I actually have two of these. This one's an aluminum green handle, and then I have a micarta green handle that I actually use almost regularly. The aluminum just sort of sits in my collection because I thought it was really neat. Front flipper only. Really cool knife. I'm really liking Concept. Liner lock on this one. I did a video on this Concept, the micarta one, not too terribly long ago. Like I was saying, my other case, some of my modern knives have sort of spilled out into that other case, but that other case also contains a lot of traditional knives that more often than not, I put in that case because they don't have a box. A lot of my traditional knives are actually still sitting in their boxes, and I keep in another box for storage. This is the smaller case. This is the case that most people have already probably seen, because it was, the corner of it would be sitting like on the edge of the screen. This is the one that holds 40. And you can see I fit a few boxes in there. There's more non-edible candy. Let me put this back in there. The other case. So many boxes. But this one holds, like I said, 40. Some of these are still in boxes that fit in the case. This is a frost cutlery that I think I planned on giving my brother at some point. But you can see some of my moderns have sort of slipped in there. This one's interesting because I'm pretty sure I did a video on this. I can't remember. This one is a modern flipper that was made by Rough Rider. And I'm pretty sure I did a live unboxing on this one. But that one was pretty neat. I think I remember because I had trouble opening this guy because of the placement of the thumb studs. But there's that one. I put some oil on there, which is why I have the cloth there. And then when I have knives, like traditional knives that either didn't come with a box or they were part of a set, and I only got part of that set, like this, for example, I'll throw these in here. I also have my 2 case squirrel knives in here. The other Wildlife series case squirrel knife I kept in its original velvet box, because that was a pricey one. But these were the start of my squirrel knife collection. I did a video about those actually very recently. And then again, sometimes I'll also put doubles, even though I have the boxes to these. I like to use these or take these out on occasion. So as opposed to like dig around the boxes, I went ahead and removed the box. I still have the boxes to these, but I'll put them in here for easier access. And here's another modern knife. I can't remember what this one was. I can't remember this one at all. Oh no, this is a Kubi. Okay, this is the first Kubi I ever got. I'm pretty sure I did a video on this. This thing is massive. Button lock. There we go. And then I have my Opinels in here. Like this is the premium wood Opinel. I got Morgan onto these things. She had to get one. This one is a premium wood version. Ooh. Really nicely polished blade with, I forgot, Padoke wood, if I remember correctly. Really simple folding knife with an interesting lock to keep it open and also keep it closed. And a little velvet pouch. I have a normal, I guess you can call it a normal one of these things, which is this one here. It's slightly bigger. The satin blade. It locks that way. Very simple knife. There's something about really simple knives that I've really enjoy. Something about it, just their simplicity. These were Higanakami traditional knives, Japanese made knives that have no locking mechanism. They just they work on the friction of the pivot to keep them open or closed. And the way they work is you fold them open like this, and like I said, there's no way to lock these. As you're using them, you place your thumb on this lever, and that helps keep it open as you're using it to cut things. And I thought these were really neat because, again, something about their simplicity. I thought these were very beautiful knives. And that just closes like that. And that's not my entire collection, but the majority of my collection, I guess. I still have plenty other knives. Like I said, a lot of my traditional knives are still in the box, and I keep those boxes in another box for storage. You use yours a lot. They're great knives, and these are very inexpensive knives. I think what was like $15 for the Opinel. Nice and sharp, and they do what you need them to do. That's all you do. The collar makes it really easy to use. I mean, sure, they might not be the quickest, like there might not be a flipper, they might not be the quickest knife around, but they do the job. It's just an interesting knife. This is one of the automatics. This is what I got actually from Titan International. I have a couple other automatics. This one was just really interesting because not only was it from an auctioneer that I was able to meet in person, but it's not even focusing. We've got a Damascus steel out the front automatic. And it's a length that I can actually carry. And I have a concealed carry license. So in order to carry knives like this in my state, you have to have a concealed carry license. So this one I'm actually able to carry because I'm licensed. So there we go. That one's really cool. You got to get you an Opinel. Yeah, they're really inexpensive. Really neat knives. Simple. And they just do what you need them to do. They're stainless steel knives also. Whereas the Japanese Higanakami, they're a high carbon steel. So these, you want to make sure you have them oiled or waxed for storage. This one's another one I got from Titan International. This one, I think they're called Colossal knives. And another flipper I got from them that I thought is pretty neat. The thumb hole on this one's kind of interesting because the frame blocks it. I can't really use my thumb, but I can reverse flick it really easily. And it's also got a rear flipper. Personally, I think this little design where it cuts into the thumb hole could probably be something that they need to fix, but it hasn't really stopped me from using it, and I'm still able to use it without any problems. So it's like, they could fix it. They don't really need to. Still very flippy, very smooth action. But yeah, this is my other case. That's a mix of traditional and modern knives. The other one is entirely modern knives, and I am in deep need of yet another case because this one is also already entirely filled up. And that doesn't even include, like I said, all the Rough Riders and case boxes that I have and frost boxes that I have tucked away in another box. And this also doesn't include all the Titan knives that I have. And just to give you an idea, the Titan knives are kind of a special case because these are all Damascus knives. And I have such a wide variety of them that I've purchased from Titan Knives. I actually have a non-Damascus coming from him soon. Oh, the Opinel went up $4 since you bought. We might have got when I came out with that video and you bought yours. It's very possible it might have gone on sale, or we got them on sale. But to give you an idea of what Titan Knives does, these are some of my favorite Titan knives that I've gotten from them. Now I keep them wrapped in plastic until I'm doing some. Ooh, that's sharp. I'm doing some research on the leather sheaths because I've heard from some people that keeping a knife in a leather sheath could possibly corrode a knife eventually. But I'm also hearing from leather experts that that's kind of bupkis. It's always like you hear that it happens, but it's never happened to anybody that, like, to themselves. Like, oh yeah, I've heard that a knife could corrode in a leather sheath, but nobody's ever actually seen it happen. And a lot of leather makers have stated that it actually doesn't. And I think it has something to do with like salts that are used when creating or tanning some leathers. But I'm finding out, or I've heard, that the amount of salts that are used by the time it's done is so minuscule it shouldn't have any effect on a blade whatsoever. But this is how Titan normally ships them. He ships them wrapped in plastic wrap, and he also oils them heavily. I clean the oil off, and then I use a wax instead. I think the wax sits a little bit better. And also, one thing that's interesting about wax is I use a paste wax, by the way. A paste wax will also do one thing that oils generally don't, and that's neutralize fingerprints, because fingerprints will actually speed up the corrosion on a knife, which is why you always want to wipe a knife off when you're done using it, especially if you have any fingerprints on the blade. You just want to wipe them off. Wiping the fingerprints off of a stainless steel blade will help prevent corrosion all on its own just by wiping them off. But using a wax like a paste wax, I have Wicked Wax is what I use, mainly because I got a bunch of these on auction. And that'll actually not only just help clean the fingerprint off, but it'll actually neutralize the oils from your fingerprints, from what I understand. That's what I've been told by quite a few sources. But these are Titan knives. These are made in the U.S., true Damascus steel knives. They come in various different shapes, sizes, and whatnot from Titan International. There's a lot of Pakistan-made knives that are similar, but Titan International, from what I understand, are made in the U.S. and they just have a much higher quality control in their knives. This one is a lockback folder with a little pirate etching on, I believe, bone, and we got wooden bolsters here, and then a Damascus steel blade. And it's again a true Damascus, which is two different types of steels that are basically forged, and then I forgot what process they do to really bring out the two different type of steels on the blade to create patterns like that. But really, really cool. They're usually they're not the sharpest when they come. They do some like rudimentary sharpening on these knives, and these knives that I have here, I've gone ahead and done my own sharpening too, and I've gotten them to pretty much razor sharp, and it's not hard for me to do. It's actually pretty easy. So these knives that I have here, I actually even have a razor from them that I don't currently have out right now, like a straight edge razor from them that I can shave with. I can shave with that one. And I have shaved with that one. Not my face, but my arm. And then just many different styles. This one's another one of my favorites. Wooden with a bone handle. I just like the profile, and this one is especially a favorite of mine, mainly because it's also a size that technically I can EDC. It's just not a folder. But really cool bone and wooden handle on this one. Yeah, I do find that sometimes they do come a little rough. But Titan now, Titan International anyway, they generally do a pretty decent job. They might not be razor sharp when they get to you, but the ones that I've gotten were sharpened. In a few cases, I've just had to remove a burr, and then they were good to go. And these things will cut, especially after I've gone through them. Excuse me. Which leads me basically into what I do when I first get a knife. Yeah, I don't think I'll ever have a problem with corrosion. I hope I don't. I've had knives with corrosion, but mainly because they've been neglected and left in storage. Morgan's boyfriend Kenny actually got one from me that was a stainless steel claw that has lots of rust spotting on it, but that's because it was in storage, it was left neglected, and even though they're stainless steel, they can still corrode. So we're going to go into what I do when I very first get a knife in, and how I basically start the process of essentially corrosion proofing it. Well, maybe not corrosion proof, but I think you get the idea. Where was that knife that I was going to start off with? I had it here. Oh, there it is. Now, this might not be the best example because this is a titanium knife or titanium coated knife, so it's already it's already kind of corrosion resistant. But we'll start with this one to show you what I do. When I first get a knife, and this goes for any modern knife or any traditional knife. We're going to start off with a traditional. First thing I do is I obviously inspect it, make sure that there's nothing physically wrong with the knife. The next thing I'll usually do is I'll grab one of these cloths. So this is called a sunshine cloth. Now I have a new one. Do I have new ones? I know I have a couple new ones. Where did I put the new ones? Now you can get different manufacturers. There are other manufacturers that make cloths like this. Brand new, they generally look like this. They're almost all yellow, or there might be a different color, sometimes gray. I personally like the sunshine polishing cloths. They come in little tubes like this. Sometimes they might come in little squares that are like wrapped, I guess, flat. But the ones I have come in little tubes. And what these do, and like I said, there are other manufacturers that make similar cloths. These cloths come with a bit of jeweler's rouge, or it's like a type of very light abrasive that's impregnated into these cloths, and that's why they turn black as you use them. Is the oxides, the dirt and oxides, they actually, again, like a light abrasive, they'll take a little bit off, very little bit. They won't mark up your blade or mark up the steel, but and it's not even really enough to get rid of any scratches. But if there's like any super light scratches on any metal parts of your knife, they very well could possibly buff them out a little bit. The cloth will darken as you use it, and it's gonna happen with not just the sunshine cloths, but pretty much any of these cloths with jeweler's rouge in it. And people use these for jewelry. I like to use them for my knives to shine. They'll use them to shine up rings and things like that. I'll use them on the blades. You saw me using them earlier. I'll use them in all the metal parts of the blade. I'll use them on the scales of the blade. It won't really harm anything, but it'll polish them up really nicely and give them a really, really nice shine. As you can probably see here, I know the camera will probably pick up more than I could even see on the naked eye, so I don't know how it really looks on the camera, but I am getting a pretty nice shine on the bolsters and the blades. I don't know if you saw earlier when I was polishing up these blades with this cloth, but I really love these cloths. I forget how much you can get them for. I think they're like, I might have gotten like 4 or 5 tubes for like nearly $20. I seen single tubes go for like $9. So the prices can vary. You can shop around. I get mine from Amazon. Sometimes if I find a good deal, I might pick them up at an auction. But as you can see, especially with this mirror finished titanium coated knife, they put a really good shine on them. I love these things for shining up knives. But this is the first thing I'll generally do. Or actually, because this is a new knife and I didn't think about this, there's another thing I should be doing. We'll get back to that later. Most traditional knives will have this obvious spot in the knife where the blades sit. Call it a trench or whatever. And what a lot of people recommend when you first get a knife, whether it's new or used, because sometimes even after the manufacturing process, they're not 100% clean. What they'll do is they'll take some oil and they'll do what's called a flushing. And I have, this is Camilla oil, which is a food safe oil. So if you use your knives to cut food, this is not going to affect the food in any way. It's not going to poison you or anything like that. It's an all natural oil. This one's called Camilla oil. A lot of people, and probably more economical, would probably be just to use like mineral oil. You can usually get large amounts of mineral oil on the cheap. And what they'll do is they'll take, mustache hair. They'll take the oil. That didn't want to go away. They'll take the oil and they'll like flush out or drop a few drops of oil into this, I don't know what they call it. I'm just going to call it a trench. I can't think of anything else to call it. They'll do that. And I don't have one with me. I should have brought one with me. They'll grab like a Q-tip or toothpick. If the Q-tip is too big, they'll have like a toothpick, and they'll just rub around inside that little trench in order to get any gunk that may have settled in there out. This is just wide enough for me to use a Q-tip. I'll rub it around in there. And as you can see, this is supposed to be a new knife, but you can still see there's a little bit of dirt and gunk that still comes out of there, even on this new knife. And also, since I'm using oil to clean up the inside, that helps lubricate the inside and protect it from further corrosion. So I'll clean off that trench, get all that gunk out. It'll also help clean or help lubricate the pivot area in there, since I'm using oil to help clean. Use another one. Yeah, even on new knives, sometimes there's like bits of like metal shavings that could have still been in there, or just gunk from the manufacturing process left in there that wasn't entirely cleaned out. And I'll do this to get rid of as much of that as I can until the Q-tip pretty much comes out relatively clean. And this mat, like I said, this is my gun mat, and I use this whenever I'm doing cleaning like this, because this also absorbs the excess oils that are going to end up dripping out of the knife when you do this. And then I have an old t-shirt that I cut up that I'll use to wipe up any excess as well. But this is the thing that any collector of these traditional knives will say to do, is the first thing you do is you flush out the knife. And it's pretty simple to do. Like I said, I'm using the Camilla oil. That's a little bit more expensive. I generally prefer using mineral oil to do this, because it's a much more economical way to do it. I just happen to be out of mineral oil. So there we go. So that's pretty much almost done. More Q-tip should do it. The Q-tip also helps soak up excess as well. And don't forget the sides, not just the very bottom of that trench. Don't forget to rub that oil up into the sides, which I almost forgot to do, which is why there's still some gunk coming off. Alexa, shut up. Oh, Jesus. It's another auction alert. So you can already probably tell, I don't know if you noticed it before, but it is shiny in there now. Whereas before there was a lot of dark gunk in there. So that's actually, before I even polish it up with the sunshine cloth, that's probably the first thing you want to do, is flush out a new knife like that. And this is specifically for traditional knives. A lot of the modern knives I don't bother doing that in. But with these traditionals, that's the first thing anybody should be doing, is flushing all that dark gunk. And you can see I've used like 3 Q-tips both sides already. There was quite a bit of stuff that came out. And it's nothing against Rough Rider. It's just, I don't know, it's their manufacturing process with even Queen, Case, what have you. A lot of times there's just a lot of stuff left over from the manufacturing process that needs to be cleaned out. And that helps the knife, that helps keep the knife a little better in terms of corrosion free, and also in usage. Since in doing this you end up lubricating inside, a lot of times they'll also work a lot more smoothly. Because sometimes you'll have a traditional knife, you'll open it up, and as you're opening it up, you'll feel like this grit to it. And a lot of times it's because of this gunk that's been left in there during the manufacturing process that wasn't cleaned out. By doing this, you'll smooth things out considerably, and it'll feel a lot smoother. So again, wipe off the excess. Now back with the sunshine cloth, which is what I should have done after flushing, just to brighten up the bits. And I know I'm still going to fingerprint this as I go along, but there's another step that I do. The reason why I use the sunshine cloth is not just to brighten up the metal, but like I said, it's a very mild abrasive. So what this does, it also helps get rid of any gunk that is sort of still kind of like stuck a little bit in places. And also it helps buff out the slightest of scratches on either the blade or the bolsters. So that's why I like using these cloths. Or if you just want it to be more presentable and shine up the blade if you're showing it to somebody, that's another thing for these cloths, what I like to use these cloths for. But there we go. So it's all been flushed out and somewhat polished with the sunshine cloth. And then there's one more thing that I'll do with these, and that is where the wax comes in. Now there's a few ways that people like to preserve their knives and prevent corrosion. My preferred method, especially when it comes to longer term storage, a lot of times, like in my case, I've obviously got a lot of knives in my collection. I can't feasibly use all these knives all the time. If I were to use a different knife every day, it would probably take the majority of the year, because I've got over 200 knives in my collection, and it would take me almost an entire year, almost a year, before any knives start repeating. So a lot of my knives end up in long-term storage, like in those cases or in the boxes. And for long-term storage, I prefer a paste wax to protect the knife. Other knives that maybe you use a lot or more frequently, I like to use the Camilla oil, and I'll wipe the knife down in Camilla oil. The nice thing, there's some pros and cons to each. Like I said, paste wax will also neutralize fingerprint oils that a lot of times regular oils won't. But the thing with paste wax, and why I use it for long-term storage, is it tends to be a little bit more intensive, or like user intensive to apply. And what I'll do is I'll grab a small rag, and then I'll just apply this somewhat liberally, excuse me, to the blade and any other metal parts, especially paying attention to like these nail nicks. And I'll just apply it to the blade and apply a thin coating all along the side, working up to the edge really carefully so I don't cut myself. And I'll apply a thin coating to all the metal bits. And it doesn't matter if I still see it. Again, these are sitting in long storage. Or relatively long-term storage anyway. So it doesn't matter if I still see the wax, because if I really wanted to show the knife off, these waxes will semi-dry a little bit as they sit in storage. And if I want to take this knife and show somebody and it still looks like it's got a waxy coating on it, just like when you wax a car, all I need to do is take a cloth to it, buff the wax off, and the shine of the blade is immediately back in all of its glory. But I'll do this, again, all along the edge, all along the metal parts and the bolsters. And I'll apply this paste wax all over to help prevent corrosion. And this paste wax, this wicked wax I'm using, and there's others that are out there. Some people, if you want to go the very economical route, use like Johnson's paste wax, which I think was essentially made for wood or to protect wood. That I've heard people using that to great effect. And a lot of times I'll just wax the entire thing. And the reason why I use paste wax, or easy to apply paste wax, is that it has a more, it's just easier to apply a paste wax than a harder wax. And a lot of times there are waxes out there, the non-paste waxes, where to really use effectively, you'll have to heat up and allow the wax to melt a little bit in order to get into all the little crooks and crannies where you're applying it. And with paste wax, you don't really have to worry about melting the wax or heating up the wax in any way. All you have to do is just put a little dab of, on your cloth and start rubbing and wiping away. And the paste wax will generally get in all those areas without much trouble. And then again, I'll apply it even on the scales. Just got to be really careful not to cut yourself while the blades are open. And again, paying special attention to the nail nicks. I make sure I get some wax in there, work it on inside there, and then slowly along the edge of the blade, the back, and the other side. I also make sure I get the badge, if your knife has a badge. And this ensures that your knife is pretty well protected from any corrosion. And you can see I leave a good amount of wax on the blade. You can easily see all the wax that's still on the blade. That doesn't bother me any little bit. Like I said, if I'm going to show this off, all I have to do is take a polishing cloth and I just wipe that wax away or buff it away, and then it's back to looking super pretty. Close that up. And then there we go. Now, it does look a little rough because like all the fingerprinting and all the wax, like I said, but this is all to prevent it from getting any corrosion on any metal parts, especially the blade. I know in this case, the titanium helps a lot. The titanium coating on the blades helps a lot, but it helps protect like the springs and the backliners and whatnot, the bolsters, from any corrosion. So it's not the prettiest when I'm done with it, but it works to prevent it from getting worse. So that's how I deal with my traditional knives, by flushing it out with oil, polishing, and then waxing all the metal bits of the knife. Oh, excuse me, I got the sniffles. Now we're going to go on to what I do with a modern knife. And I'm going to grab one that I haven't done anything with yet, and that's going to be a Kubi. one of the newer Kubies that I picked up. I did a video of this, just recorded it earlier today. Haven't released it, but that'll be out eventually. And this one is a Kubi Elang. Modern knife. This one's a liner lock. Really long sheep's foot blade, thumb hole, kind of a front flipper. Takes a little getting used to because it's not a very prominent front flipper, but it works for me. I'm still able to use it to get the blade out. But this is the modern knife I'm going to work with. I'm going to show you what happens when I get a modern knife when it first comes in. Wicked wax. Yeah, Wicked Wax can be pretty expensive, but like I said, there are others that are out there. Or you can go the route of like Johnson's Paste Wax. Like I said, that seems to be the most economical route that I've heard a lot of people still use. The most important thing to me when I'm looking for something to preserve a knife, to clean and preserve a knife, is that it's a paste wax and that it's also food safe. Those are the two big things, that it's a paste wax and it's food safe. The paste wax is mainly for application, and the food safe is great because if you use your knives to cut up any food, then you don't have to worry about any chemicals or anything like that. Oh, I forgot to mention the oil. The benefit to using oil when you're, as opposed to wax on these knives, is I'll use oil when it's a knife that I use all the time. Okay. And the reason why I do that is you saw how much work it got into, like, you know, putting the wax on the blade and making sure I got it everywhere. The oil is a little easier where I can just dab a little oil on the blade and then wipe it with a cloth and just wipe it along the blade and then be done with it. So the nice thing about the oils is just the speed of use. And it will work to protect the blade. The only thing that you want to make sure of is you wipe off any fingerprints first. And you just need a cloth to wipe off the fingerprints. Dab a little oil on either the cloth or the blade itself, and then wipe it the full length of the blade. Make sure you got a nice, very light coating of oil on the blade. It doesn't have to be heavy. You don't even really have to see it. But as long as you have a just nice, super thin coating on the blade, that'll help prevent any corrosion. The big benefit is just speed of use in comparison to using a wax. That's why I would use the oil. Oils like this Camilla oil are really especially great for when you have high carbon kitchen knives that you need to keep oiled to prevent corrosion. You wash the knife like you normally would, and then you use a cloth and you put a very thin coating of Camilla oil on it. Again, it's a food safe oil. So when, you know, you can just go, when you need the knife, just go ahead and start using it. You don't have to do any special preparation before you start using the knife. You just go ahead and start using the knife. Just make sure that when you're done using the knife, if it's a high carbon steel knife that's prone to rusting, you wash it immediately, dry it well, and then apply a very thin coating of Camilla oil. Like I said, that's what I like to use. Some people use, again, more economical, might be mineral oil or any other food safe oil. Some people use cooking oil. I've heard of people using like Wesson cooking oil to preserve their knives. You can use that too, things like that. Just be careful with some food oils that it's not an oil that can spoil. Because I don't think you'd want to put an oil on the blade to preserve it that could end up spoiling on the blade as it sits there. So that's the only other thing to watch out for when it comes to oils. Okay, back to this guy here. This is a modern knife. This is what I'm going to show you what happens when I get a modern knife in my collection before it hits my collection. So this one again is a Kubi Elang liner lock, and it doesn't really matter the type of lock or the type of modern knife that I get. They generally all go through the same process, and this is a little simpler than dealing with the traditional knives. The first thing I do is I look to see if there's any oil and or wax already applied to the knife. And then what I'll do is I'll go ahead and wipe that down with either a polishing cloth or a microfiber cloth, just to make sure I remove any excess or old wax or oil that might have been put there by the manufacturer. So I'll go ahead and do that. I'll also visually inspect the knife to make sure there's no major scratches or anything in the liners. If there's any dirt or grit inside, which generally isn't going to happen with a new knife, I'll take a can of air and I might blow out the dirt in between the liners. But I've never really had to do that. The only time I've ever had to clean in between the liners is when I've been carrying a knife for a while and it's starting to accumulate lint and whatnot from my pocket. Then I'll start blowing that stuff out with like a can of air. Generally, there's no need to do that with a modern knife when you first get it. But I'll go ahead and wipe down anything that might be on this knife already, which there wasn't much of anything that I noticed on this knife, so there isn't really much to do in terms of wiping down. Now that I've got the knife wiped down, the first thing I'll do, or the next thing I'll do, is then I'll just check the action. This one works pretty smooth. This one does have bearings in the pivot, so it's going to feel pretty smooth. I'm checking to see, as I open and close, if there's any grittiness to it, any stiffness to it. In this case, this moves really nice and smooth. Because if there's any grittiness to it or stiffness to it that's not supposed to be there, like it's feeling like, say, it's feeling like there might be washers or bushings there, but you know it comes with captive bearings, so it's supposed to move nice and smooth, and you're feeling friction. That could mean one of two things. There could be some dirt in there, or there could be a problem with the bearings itself. You may need to go in there and take a look. But this one's nice and smooth. More than likely, a lot of times it's just dirt and grit that might be in the bearings. But this one's, like I said, nice and smooth. So the next thing I'm going to do after I check that is I will take some oil. Now you can use, again, Camilla oil. I have other oils as well. I acquired a bottle of KPL. This is called KPL. It's knife pivot oil. This can be a little pricey, but one of these vials lasts for a long time. Now I'm like 1/3 of a way. I'm like 1/3 through this vial. Okay, I still got 2/3 of this bottle to go, and this has done every knife in my collection. So this will last a good long time. So even though it might be on the pricier side, it'll last you a good long time. Like I said, you could use things like Camilla oil or mineral oil. I like the KPL personally. And then what I'll do is I'll take, it's got a nice little thin needle-like applicator. I'll take a drop and, let me center this. I'll put it on either side of the blade where I know the bearings are sitting, or right where the pivot is. And this oil is thin enough that it'll wick around in that area. And what it'll do is first of all, it'll help prevent corrosion in that spot. A lot of times modern knives, if they are going to corrode, that's one of the first areas they will start to corrode. So I always make sure there's a little bit of oil in that pivot area, and that'll help prevent water from getting in there and corrosion starting. And it also helps like suspend little tiny itty bitty particles in the oil and prevent premature wear of the pivot. And in some cases will also make the knife feel even smoother than it did before you applied the oil. And then after I apply a couple drops of oil, it's usually just 1 to 2 drops depending on the size of the knife. In this case, I put 2. A lot of knives that are smaller than this, I might just use 1 drop, and that's more than enough. Because you don't want to over oil it, otherwise it starts running down everywhere. That's why you saw in my cases, I have a lot of knives that are sitting in there wrapped in a microfiber cloth. That's just to catch any excess oil that might drip out of it. and I don't want it getting into the case. But I will work that oil in a little bit by moving the blade around a little, and I could already feel that's even smoother than it was before I applied the oil. But I'll work that in. And there we go. So that's nicely worked in. And then again, it depends on where this is ultimately going to go. If it's one of the knives that I use a lot, like for example, this is my concept, the green micarta one. I use this quite a lot. I carry this with me a lot. It's one of my favorite knives. Depending if I have the time, I'll usually use a paste wax on the blade, and I'll apply a thin coating of paste wax, and you can probably see some wax on the blade. I can wipe that off. You can see the shine of that blade return pretty easily. Or again, on modern knives, I'll use the Camilla oil. If I'm just trying to do a quick, like I've had a long day, I use my knife a bit, I'll wipe it down, I'll put a few drops of oil on it, and then just put a thin layer of oil all over the blade. And then you're actually good to go. Once I've applied, in this case, I'll go ahead and use the wax, because this one I'm not going to use. This knife I don't intend to use all that often. This is probably going to end up in longer term storage because it's a blade that's too long for me to really carry every day. So I'll grab that cloth that I had, and just like the traditional knife, I'll take that ripped up shirt, I'll grab a little bit of wax, and I'll just make sure I get it all along the blade, including the edge, into the thumb hole, into the choil, and make sure it's all covered. And again, I like using paste wax because it's a lot easier to apply than a harder wax that you might have to heat up and melt. Although it is a little more work intensive compared to oil, because it would just otherwise just be a couple drops of oil and then just wipe down with a rag. Where I tend to be a little bit more meticulous when I'm dealing with paste wax. I get it all as much on that blade and into the jimping on the back of the blade. Make sure I get the back of the blade, and then carefully all along that edge as well. And just got to be careful when you're applying that wax along the edge, because there are a lot of times where I'm done waxing a blade and you can see where the cloth has been cut because of how I ran it along the edge. But do be sure to get the edge of that blade as well. And it doesn't have to be super thick. But I like a visible coating. I like to see that it's there with the, when I'm applying wax. It's a little different. Like I said, with wax, I like to see that there's wax on the blade after I'm done applying it. With oil, I will apply the oil, wipe it down until I really can't see the oil anymore. At that point, you have a nice, really thin layer of oil on the blade. And that's enough to protect the blade from corrosion. And the reason why I'll wipe it off till I don't see it is because if you have too much oil on the blade, it tends to run off everywhere. And it can end up becoming quite a mess. You can see where I've already cut the cloth on this one from running it across that blade. But that's how I like to protect my blades. And there's other products that are out there as well that people like to use. My favorites, again, are the paste waxes and the Camilla oil. I do have other types of waxes from other manufacturers. I think Texas Blade Butter should be coming in next week. And the Texas Blade Butter is also food safe and The particular one that I got is also antimicrobial, so that's kind of a bonus. I can't wait to try that. I'm assuming it's going to be somewhat similar along the lines in terms of application. Another way that some people protect their blades, I did get a bottle of this a while ago. I haven't used it yet, but I'm going to try it probably on my next few moderns. And it's also by the same people that make the KPL, and it's called Knife Shield. I haven't used this bottle yet. I haven't used this at all yet. But what this is, and you have to shake it before you use, it's a knife protectant. It is food safe. And it's a rust preventative. It cleans, degreases, polishes, and prevents rust and corrosion on metal surfaces. And the way you're supposed to use this is you shake really well, because there's some type of sediment type thing in there that settles down at the bottom of the bottle. So you give it a really good shake. You spray the blade down once or twice on each side, and then you let it sit for like, the instructions are right here. You let it sit for like 10 to 20 seconds, and then you wipe off the excess with a rag, like a microfiber cloth. And then that's it. And then what that does is it leaves a nice thin coating of protectant on the blade. It supposedly wears off pretty rapidly if you're using the knife, but then again, the same thing can be said with the wax or even the Camilla oil. It's going to wear off when you use the blade, but then you just make sure you clean your blade, make sure it's nice and dry, and then you reapply either, in this case, the protectant, your wax, or your oil, and then you're good to go. Like I said, I haven't used this stuff before yet. It's made in the USA. I'm really curious about it. I'm going to try it on some of my other knives to see how it goes, and maybe I'll update you on any findings. But it's supposed to work really well. I've heard good things about that. The only problem with the KPL Knife Shield and any of the other KPL products is they do tend to be a little on the pricier side. So, I mean, if you're looking for something more economical, even than the Wicked Wax, I would go with either mineral oil, Camilla oil, or Johnson's Paste Wax. But if you want to check this stuff out, I happen to like the KPL products, even though they tend to be a little bit more pricey. I do like the Wicked Wax. So I tend to stick with these. Not to mention the fact that I just happen to have a lot of these, because when I I was in an auction for these, and I guess I think I won a few and bought a few, and then ended up with like a good few tins of this stuff. And this is only, I think I had like 4 tins or 5 tins of these, and this is the second tin that I've gotten into, which I still have a decent amount of wax left in there. But that one tin and this tin so far have waxed every knife in my collection, sometimes multiple times. So even though they're a small tin, these tins last a good long time. But that's what I do in order to preserve and prevent corrosion on my knives. Go ahead and put this back in this sleeve. I'm pretty sure that's the sleeve that came in. And it's the same thing with any other knife that I have like these. I've done the same thing with this. This one was heavily waxed or cleaned, heavily waxed, and in this case, I've just left it wrapped up in the plastic that Titan delivered it to me as, because I don't use these knives all that often. Although that bone one I've used quite a bit. This one, or the wood handled with the bone, I've used quite a bit. But I really don't pull these out too often, even though they're more than capable to be used. I find the convenience of the moderns that I already have out. I mean, why pull these out when I've got like a tray full? And when I say tray, I'm talking about this. I've got an EDC tray that's made for knives and flashlights that I keep a number of knives on. And this is what I keep on my desk. And when I go somewhere, I go and actually this is on there normally too. I'll go here when I'm headed out the door. I'll go to the tray. I'll grab whatever knife I feel like using, stick it in my pocket, and then I'm good to go. And then when I come home, I take it out of my pocket, and it's back on the tray. And that's it. That's all this is for. But yeah, I'll tend to go and use these knives as opposed to like grabbing one of my Titans to do anything with, because these are already out and on my desk. So no point, if I'm in a hurry, I'm not going to sit there and dig around for like a good few minutes. And let's see, I think that's almost it. Now, in terms of other maintenance of knives and stuff that I'll do with a knife when I first get them, if I have a knife that I get that is, say, it's got some burrs on it, it could use a bit of touch-up, or I've got a knife that I've been using quite a bit, and it's starting to need some touch-up because it's starting to get a little dull. One of my favorite things to use, I have a bunch of sharpening stones. I think next week, because again, I'm not going to have many boxes to unbox. I'll have some, but not a lot. Maybe we'll go over sharpening. But I use this as part of my maintenance routine if I have a knife that I use a lot and it's starting to get a little dull. And this is, I think this is called Work Sharp, or I'm trying to remember who makes this. Oh yeah, Work Sharp. It says it right there. These can be found on Amazon, and these run about 35. I'd like to say $35, and this is their field sharpener. And I've got like a bunch of sharpening stones. One of my favorites, this one's still in the box. This is a Sharpall, and this is a diamond whetstone. Has like a coarse and a fine side and a stand to hold the stone. And the stand actually even acts as a case to store your stone in. Like I have these, I have other diamond sharpening stones that I use for when I'm really working on trying to get a knife nice and sharp. This one's covered in plastic. I have this is a little edge guide. But these are really cool. But the funny thing is, even though I have all these sharpening stones, one thing that I use the most, I have another sharpening stone. Where's that at? I wanted to show that too. This is another one that I've been trying out. I've been kind of like testing these really inexpensive diamond stones out. But you can see this one, I have a holder for this one. This happens to be set on the 400 grit side. But if I've got time to spend, time to kill, and I'm really working hard on an edge, like maybe I got a really bad knife, I'm trying to bring an old knife back to a razor edge or something, I'll bring out the big guns. But if it's something that just needs a touch-up, or say like the namesake, I'm out in the field, like I have one of these that I carry in my backpack, and I have one here at home. This has everything I need, and these things I use more than anything when it comes to sharpening knives, even more so than those other larger stones. This Work Sharp here. And the reason why I use this the most is because it has everything I need in one little convenient package. I have a coarse diamond stone. These are attached by magnets. We have a coarse diamond stone. We have a fine diamond grit stone. And the neat thing is, because they're attached to magnets, when they're not in use and you don't want this scratching up anything or getting scratched up by anything else, you simply remove the diamond plate. You can turn it over, and now it's protected, and it also won't scratch up anything else that's in your bag. So you got two diamond stones. You have a ceramic stone, which has coarse and fine settings to it. So you have a coarse grit ceramic, a fine grit ceramic, and you also have a ceramic section used for sharpening fish hooks. So if you're a fisherman, this comes in really handy. And you just turn the knob to go from fine to coarse or fish hook. And you have a small ceramic rod help sharpen serrated knives if you have serrated knives. I personally don't like serrated knives all that much, but if I need to, I can use this smaller ceramic stone to keep those nice and sharp. And then you also have a leather strop, which I've probably got to refresh. That's got some, I forgot what they call it. It's like it's almost like a crayon. It's like a fine grit like a super fine grit that I add to the leather strop. And then what I'll do, let me take my Kaiser out. It doesn't need it, but I can demonstrate. If this is just starting to get dull, a lot of times all I need to do to get it back into primo cutting condition is I'll take it. Now this is a D2 steel, but I'm just going to do this as a demonstration. And these slanted areas on this is also a guide. So it'll help you hold it at the right angle. In this case, I'm using the fine one, the fine ceramic, and I'll just run the edge lightly back and forth on the ceramic rod a few times, right up to the tip. And you don't need a lot of pressure. In fact, as I go along and do this, I'm using lighter and lighter pressure up until the point of where it's almost just the weight of the knife itself going down onto that rod. Now, obviously, if it's a lot duller, or you might have small chips, then I might go to working on it with a coarse side of the diamond stone, and then onto the fine side of the diamond stone if it's seriously dull. But more often than not, this is something like if I've been using it a lot and I just need to touch it up, this is what I'll do. And I'll run it back and forth lightly. And then I'll move on to the leather strap portion. And then again, lightly, a few passes over the leather. And a lot of times, after I've done this a few times, it brings it back to razor sharp. This knife was pretty sharp to begin with, but even then, just a little light work and it's good to go. And I love these things. Again, these are about 30. How much were these? Oh, wait, okay. Never mind. I think I might have got it on sale. $40. I'm seeing this on Amazon. I see a few more prices. I think those are different models of it, but the one I got was about $40, $39.95 on Amazon. And I've got a couple of these. Like I said, I keep one in my backpack, so that way it's with me all the time. And if I need to do a touch up while I'm not at home, it's there and ready to go. And these things are awesome. I've used this more than even my other stones when I've needed to sharpen a blade. And these have worked amazingly. And they're not terribly expensive as far as sharpening stones go. I mean, for $40 and all that you get here, it's a hell of a deal, to be quite honest. So that's what I use for touching up my blades, how I maintain my knives in my collection, what I do when I first get a knife in my collection to prevent corrosion and help keep things nice, clean, sharp, and safe. So I think, $36 at Walmart. There you go. Solzavin, I didn't see you in there. Welcome to the stream. Glad you can make it. Just don't let people, hold on. Just don't let people stropping compound. Thank you. I lose words in my brain all the time. I can't help it. My brain malfunctions on a regular basis. But welcome. 36 on Amazon. Oh, you saw 36 on Amazon? I was seeing 40. If you can see it for 36 on Amazon, more power to you. I remember paying about that much when I got mine. And there's others. I think Sharpel makes a rod that's very similar to this, except it's got a big handle to it, and it's more of a, I don't know, it looks like something you could beat somebody with. It runs about the same price. I think it's a Sharpel, like, what is it? Okay, here it is. 210N transfer rod. 11-in-1. I've heard really good things about that one. I might pick one of those up. I've heard really good stuff about that one, and that diamond stone thing that I showed you is also made by Sharpel. I really like them. Work Sharp and Sharpel make some good stuff. But those I would highly recommend. I haven't, like I said, I haven't used the Sharpel one, but I've heard a lot of really good stuff about it. It also contains diamond sharpening rods and ceramic rods, and I'm pretty sure there's a leather strop on there as well. So just a different form factor. It's a little bigger than this though. So I like these because they're a lot more compact and they're easy to toss in my backpack. Although, I don't know, some people might have a problem with the size, especially if you're trying to sharpen something bigger. As far as pocket knives, though, are concerned, this works perfectly fine. I don't think I really need anything much bigger than this when it comes to the small pocket knives that I use. You reground your Kershaw leek by using a pull-through sharpener. Pull-through sharpeners, in my opinion, they're great for in the field when you've got nothing else. The reason why I don't use pull-throughs all that often is a lot of times they do too much. Like, they'll remove like too much material from the blade, when a lot of times you might not need to do that. If there's a lot of like chipping or a heck of a lot of rollover and seriously dull edge, or especially if you can't get home to a diamond stone, then yeah, pull-throughs obviously work really well in a pinch. But yeah, and I'm just, again, my opinion, I think they tend to remove too much material, which is why I like using these, because a lot of times I'll sharpen a knife, or I'll get a knife that's a little dull, and all it needed was actually a leather stropping. And a lot of times, even with just a leather stropping, I'll be able to bring that knife back into working condition. If the leather stropping doesn't work, then a lot of times the ceramic rods will bring it back into working condition. Now, granted, that's provided the knife isn't like seriously chipped or anything, because if it's seriously chipped, then yeah, you're going to need to go to a coarse diamond steel stone or something like that. Or in that case, like you said, a pull through will work well in a pinch to help sharpen up a knife that's been maybe badly chipped. I just don't like them because they tend to remove too much material when you might not need to. And I like my knives to last as long as possible. So if I can get a knife to get back up into workable sharpness without removing too much material, that's what I'm going to lean towards. But like I said, they still work great in a pinch, especially since a lot of pull-throughs tend to be very small and compact. So a lot of times they're easy to carry. So that makes them pretty convenient. And also they tend to work pretty quick to sharpen a knife. I just don't like removing too much material. That's all it is. I like to preserve my knife as much as possible, but they do work. They do work to sharpen a knife. There's no argument against that. I just prefer to use a diamond stone, or I really prefer to use like a ceramic and leather strop to bring my knives back in order. I don't even use the diamond stones unless I need to do some like chip repair, or it's like a seriously dull knife, or I'm re-profile or like redoing an edge completely. Then I'll go to the diamond stones. More often than not, the ceramics and the leather strop have done it for me without any issue. And that way I get my knives to last as long as possible. Sometimes some knives don't have my head in there. Good grief. Sometimes some knives don't Like there are knives that you can sharpen a ton before it starts becoming problematic. And I've noticed some even new modern knives, and I might highlight one of those things. So, you know what? I'll show you one. There are some modern knives that I found out that I thought were pretty cool. And then, upon closer inspection, found out you can't really sharpen them, which is kind of disappointing. This isn't going to be the best example, but like this Civivi triptych. I love the Civivi triptych. First of all, let me get that out there. I'm only using it as an example because on the triptych, when you close this knife, there's a little stop bar in there that prevents the knife blade from, say, traveling too far down into the handle. Okay, they put a little bar there. Now, on the triptych's design, it's this one, and I think the Buster FG is actually the big culprit when it comes to this. Now, don't get me wrong, still love the knives, but this is an issue that I think they need to look at and fix on these knives. But to give an example, that stop bar, when the blade closes and hits that stop bar, on this knife and on the Buster, the blade or the stop bar hits, I need something to point it out, to help point it out. I don't have like a pointer. Let me use this. The stop bar hits like right here. Now, when you're sharpening a blade, you're removing material from the edge of the blade. Okay. Oh, is that focusing? Okay, yeah. The stop bar hits like right here. And when you sharpen a blade, you're removing material from the edge of that blade. And if you remove too much material, you're going to end up removing material where that stop bar hits. And sooner or later, if you go too far, that stop bar is going to start hitting along the edge of the blade here, which I think is something that needs to, at least in future iterations of knives like this, need to be looked at, because that stop bar really needs to go somewhere else in order to stop the knife from going too far in. I would prefer they have some type of other stopping mechanism that doesn't hit anywhere in this choil at all. Because now this one's not too bad. The stop bar hits about here. So you still have a good amount of sharpening still before you lose too much material. But the Buster FG, the stop bar hits like right here, like really close. And so you might be able to sharpen it decently, like maybe 4 or 5 times. But if you remove too much material, that stop bar is going to start hitting that edge. And that's another reason why I don't like removing too much material when I'm sharpening a knife, because now in this case, the problem is more due to the design of the knife. Because if the design of the knife was different and that stop bar was somewhere else, or the way it stopped the blade was somewhere else, that would become a moot issue. That wouldn't be an issue at all. Now, how high is that grit for the ceramic? For the fine, I'd like to say that's probably closer to like, Waylon said about like 15. Yeah, I'd say it's close to like, yeah, I was going to say like 1,200. It's probably close. It's probably higher than that. Probably closer to like 2,000. Because it's really smooth, really fine. It's meant more for polishing up the blade edge, that fine, like removing very light burrs to polishing that blade edge. If it was a heavier burr, I'd go to the coarse ceramic or even the fine side of the diamond stone. But I'll be honest, I haven't had to use the coarse side of the stone all too much. The only time I've used the coarse side of this sharpener was when I was sharpening D2 steel. D2 steel tends to be really hard to sharpen. It can be pretty tough. Like, I wouldn't use your typical like water or oil stones to sharpen D2 steel. D2 steel, I'd use a diamond plate or diamond stone in order to sharpen it, because D2 steel is just that tough to sharpen. But the only time I've used the coarse side is to sharpen D2 steel. More often than not, the most I've had to do with other knives like 14C28N or Nitro V steel, the fine side of the diamond sharpening stone works perfectly fine, and then I'll just polish it up using the coarse and fine ceramics, and then finally the leather strop. And usually that's all I need to get it to super razor sharp. Sometimes I don't even have to bother with the fine diamond stone either. A lot of times I'll just go from the coarse ceramic on some of those knives to the fine, and then the leather strop. It all depends on how much use, again, that knife gets, and how, whether it gets chipped, rolled, or whatever. But more often than not, I haven't had to go farther than the fine, unless it was D2 steel. Although I haven't had to do it on, this is D2 steel. These will still polish it up nicely and can still hone it, but the majority of the work's going to be done on the coarse. On the splice knife for work after done, yeah. I don't know what your client, what kind of steel the client's made out of, but all I remember is D2 steel doesn't like stone. You got to be a diamond plate or diamond stone, impregnated stone. Otherwise, D2 will probably ruin stones if you're not careful. That's how tough that stuff can be. And there's other steels that are just like that. My favorite steels for knives tend to be 14C28N, Nitro V for the budget side. Those two steels, 14C28N really being a favorite of mine. And then when it comes to premium steels, I should include 154CM with a 14C28N and Nitro V. Those three steels I like. When it comes to premium steels, my favorites are S35VN, and then my top favorite would probably have to be CPM MagnaCut is my real favorite. There are other steels that are also better for certain things, but I'm your typical user. It's not like I go deep sea diving. I'm not using it in harsh, a knife in super harsh conditions. I think the most harsh condition my knife might go through is dealing with me being sweaty if I'm outside and it's hot. That's the most harsh condition a knife of mine might go through. So I don't need any real specialized steels. The 14C28N, Nitro V, the 154CM, those all work perfectly fine for me. I just like the CPM MagnaCut because it probably has the best all around I'm trying to think of the term, and my brain just farted. But in terms of toughness, edge retention, the sharpenability, things like that, it tends to have the best, the most overall best, I guess. I'll just say numbers because I can't think of the other term, than a lot of other steels. Obviously, it's more of a jack of all trades. There are steels that are corrosion resistance. That's another thing. There are other steels that might have better corrosion resistance than MagnaCut, or better toughness than MagnaCut, but usually it's kind of like a seesaw. Edge retention, thank you. It's kind of like a seesaw. If you want better edge retention, then you're going to lose things like maybe toughness, or even corrosion resistance. If you want better corrosion resistance, you might lose edge retention and toughness and things like that. So it's usually kind of like a little give and take relationship when it comes to things like that with different steels. And MagnaCut, I think, has probably the best when it comes to all around, just really good edge retention, really good toughness, really good corrosion resistance. I mean, it's not the best out there, but it's definitely better than a lot. And it tends to be more even in those regards, as opposed to being one that's like great with corrosion, but can't hold an edge to save its life. Things like that. Or it might be even too brittle. But those are what make those steels some of my favorite steels. That being said, when it comes to steel, though, in some cases, unless you're doing something special, a lot of times it doesn't really matter. Steel's going to do what it needs to do. If all you're doing is like me, day to day cutting cardboard, maybe some cables, zip ties, things like that, more often than not, you just want something that's, you're going to want something that's either going to be high edge retention or just easy to resharpen. I like easy to resharpen personally. But most knives are going to do what they need to do when you need them to do it. Especially when you're somebody like me that just uses them for cutting like packages open, cutting cardboard, things like that. 440 stainless steel will do it. It'll do it fine. SLD Magic is really cool. I'll give you that. I would like I think was it North Mountain or something like that that uses SLD Magic. I can't remember now. I forgot what manufacturer. There's a few knives I want that I don't have yet that make use of SLD Magic. But really, any knife is going to do what you needed to do. You don't need a specialized steel unless you're doing something specialized. Like if you're doing a lot of diving into the sea, you'll probably want an LC200N blade because those are probably one of the most highly anti-corrosive steels you can get. I'm pretty sure you can't corrode LC200N steel. Don't quote me, but I'm pretty sure you can't. Which makes it great for people that are doing like, work, cutting stuff in the sea. Yeah, North Mountain blades. So an LC200N steel would be perfect for somebody like that. But how many of us do that? Like I said, for me, I carry knives daily, but I'm just cutting open packages, cutting cardboard, things like that. And in that case, my Opinel with stainless steel works perfectly fine and will do just what it needs to do. I've been finding excuses just to cut paper and cardboard for the fun. There you That's one of the reasons why I like doing my unboxing. Gives me a reason to use my knives. Although the funny thing is, I tend to use, when I'm unboxing, I tend to use this more often than anything. My Kaiser drop bear utility knife. Because I don't have to resharpen it. I just change the blade. And I'll admit it, sometimes I just get lazy. But this thing has been one of the handiest knives I've ever owned. As much as I love my other knives, this thing has probably seen the most use, at least at home, because I don't have to worry about sharpening it ever. I just change the blade. When I carry, lately these have been my two favorites, mainly because these are just super fidgeting knives. My Kaiser Mini Militaw, because I find myself like I'm probably annoying the hell of my girlfriend when I'm near one of these knives and I'm just flicking this open all the time. But my Mini Militaw, I have another one of these. This one's in D2. I have another one that's in, I think, Nitro V or 14C. I can't remember. And then this one is my Concept Accipiter. And I don't know what it is about this knife. I just love it. It's the front flipper is super fidgety. Almost lost a finger there. The front flipper is just super fidgety. It's a nice looking knife. I love the bevel on the back edge of this. It's nice and rounded, nice and smooth. And to me, it's just a very pretty looking knife. Super sharp. It came out super sharp in the box. This one, I'm pretty sure this, oh no, this is 154 cm. Okay, so this is 154 cm steel. Another thing about steels also is corrosion resistance. And another reason why I prefer like 154 cm, 14C28, and Nitro V is they're stainless steel knives, so they resist corrosion decently. Whereas D2 steel is like a semi-stainless. So when it comes to D2 steel, even with it being a nice steel for edge retention. Like these things will keep an edge for a long time. The problem is that they're not as tough, meaning if anything goes wrong, they're probably going to chip, and also they're not as corrosion resistant as 154 CM or the other ones that I just mentioned, the 14C28N. So you do have to make sure that you wipe these blades down, the D2 steel blades, wipe them down, and make sure you apply a very light coating of oil or wax to prevent corrosion on the blade when you're done using it. And I would seriously suggest, right when you're done using it, at the very least, wipe off any fingerprints or wipe off anything that might get on the blade and make sure it stays nice and dry. Because it is a semi-stainless, but it's not a stainless. These will rust on you if you're not taking care of them. And even the stainless steels will rust on you if you don't take care of them. But D2, that's one of the drawbacks to D2. Great edge retention. Just got to make sure you take care of them. But I think, oh, what's that? Curious to see how the Terravent. I've heard about that. I don't know much about that. I have a hard time saying that word. Terraventium? I've heard about that, I think. It sounds very familiar. They're always coming out with something new. D2 used to be the steel of the day when it first came out. That was like the premium steel for a while. And now it's in a lot of budget stuff. We'll see. All we can do is wait and see how that Terraventium goes. But anyway, I've already gone to 5 o'clock. Oh my God. It's been 3 hours. So I think that's going to be it for today. I hope you guys had fun. You got to see a little bit of my collection. We did some unboxing, got some neat new knives. At least one questionable knife. You got to see a bit of my collection. And what I do for knife maintenance and what happens when I get a brand new knife in my collection, what I do to prevent anything from happening to it, both traditional and modern knives. I hope you learned something. If there's anything you could add that I might learn from, feel free, share. That's what this is all about, is learning new stuff. Comment below after the live is done. And as far as next week's concerned, like I said, I'm not going to have as many boxes to unbox because of recent events. I've had to slow down my purchasing considerably. So while I'll still have some packages to unbox next week, it's probably going to be even less than this, or what I did today. So we'll probably go over, I don't know, whatever the heck else you want to go over. Maybe we'll go over the rest of my collection. I've got a ton more of Titan knives that I haven't shown. And I know a lot of the traditional knives that I have were already previously shown in unboxings. Maybe I can show you like knives that are special to me for one reason or another, or we'll just chat about knives and answer questions and whatever. So I do plan on still doing a live stream next week, Saturday, 2 p.m. Central Standard Time. So if you want to do that stuff, plan on that. Anyway, thanks again for watching. I hope you guys had fun. If you haven't yet, like, subscribe, and also don't forget to hit that notification bell so that way anytime I come up with a new video, you guys are notified immediately. I did put out some new videos recently on the EDC Squirrel knives that I got. I forgot what else. I just finished recording a video on this particular Kubi, and another different Kubi that I got. Where is it? The Bellis. I've been getting a few of these Kubi knives because I've been curious and hearing a lot about them. But I just finished recording videos on these two, so I'll be putting those out soon. And I'm sure I'll be putting out stuff on other knives as I get them, because I know I have other knives coming in, more other modern knives. So thanks again for all your support, and hope to see you guys in the next video. You guys are awesome. Bye-bye. And yes, it's my video game ending. Shush. Morgan.
Hey kid, don't ever let them get inside your head. They'll tell you what to do in life instead of Give everything you know that you could get. Don't let them guide your life towards regret. I'll fight
Wow,
for what I love with
probably
every
should have
breath.
turned off that
My
mic
past is
before I
filled with things I won't forget.
started. That's probably
Use them
good.
all
I'm
to push
sorry.
me to my best.
Anyway,
So
bye.
treat the worst of times just like a test. If only I could go back in time, I'd tell myself that everything will end up alright. Just push yourself, test yourself, figure out what you like, and find your limits, don't be rigid, always work towards a prime. Surround yourself with open minds, people can change your life. A few friends with intent can help you feel alive. Find a passion, take some action, and with a little time, just be patient, make a statement, try to enjoy your life. They'll try to kick you while you're down. They wanna rise up while you drown. They wanna fill your head with doubt. They're silently scared that you'll figure it out. I'll make it look like I'm losing. Won't bother hiding my bruises. And when they finally think you're wounded, then it's your chance to be ruthless.